Grid is live. Initiate.
Excellent!
I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
Bogus.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
My name's Norman Bates.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I'm in, Mom.
Merry Christmas, movie home!
We came, we saw, we kicked his ass.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
Everything's under control. Situation normal.
Oh, well. Let me go in and say hi.
Hail to the king, baby.
Well, hello. It is Sunday, January 10th, 2021, and you have made it to the Sunday evening unwind here on the PJCN. I am, of course, Maxwell Haddad, and it wouldn't be the unwind if I wasn't joined by my stalwart co-host, my XO, the namesake of the channel himself, Mr. Patrick PJ Campbell. How are you, my friend?
Not this snake. This is a mug. Hi, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. If you guys know, you know. That's all I'm saying.
I know.
You know. Anyone who follows me.
They don't know that we know that they know that we know.
They might know we know.
They might know we know. I don't know.
Anyone who's
also do the whole like barbershop quartet thing, like they know, we know, they know, we know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's true. No, anyone who's followed us long enough knows that we have a pretty big love for Craig Ferguson, and I've had this waiting to like sit on the desk for so long, and that was the mug he used to have on his desk. The only thing I need now is a TARDIS, and we're like going to be competing with the best of the best that was Craigie Ferg.
Does that mean you have a Jeff?
We could make a Jeff.
I mean, when you really think about the makeup of the PJ Campbell Network, Chris Clark is our Jeff.
That's actually not wrong. I think Chris Clark is 100% our
You never
Jeff.
know what nonsense is going to come out of his mouth. He is supremely wonderful and delightful, and he's mostly robotic.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. So I think we'll go ahead and say that Chris Clark is the Jeff Peterson of this network, if you will. And if we can only be like 5% of what the Craig Ferguson Late Show was, then I think we're doing our jobs here at this network, don't you?
I couldn't agree more. One of the best, most unsung late night shows in the history of the medium. And believe me, I know a lot about TV because I have a master's in television management, so it's kind of what I do.
It's 100% accurate. And I'll just say...
Please.
No, real quick, I was going to say, if you really don't know a lot about Craig Ferguson, there is a YouTube channel out there that archived almost his entire 7 seasons on CBS. I cannot recommend enough. You guys go check it out.
He won a Peabody Award for an episode of his show. Peabody is one of the most prestigious awards you can win for television. For an episode of his show wherein, in lieu of the traditional late night hijinks and jokes, it was a full 42-minute interview with Archbishop Desmond Tutu. It was one of the best interviews I've ever watched in my life. At the very least, you owe it to yourself to watch that. But he's a hilarious man. He's written memoirs, novels, he has stand-up comedy, and since apparently the Sunday Evening Unwind is now a Craig Ferguson infomercial, he also just started hosting a brand new show this week called The Hustler, a trivia game show wherein one of the contestants knows all the answers ahead of time. So it's sort of like a ruse or a jest, if you will.
Also, if you've never seen Hobo Fabulous, which was like a docudrama, or not a docudrama, but like a documentary that followed him while he was doing a stand-up tour where he was going to do no more stand-up tours, is the best. Like, he's like, I'm never going to do a special again, but here's a 6-episode documentary about me never doing a special again, so you can see him doing stuff on stage, and it's remarkable. That came out 2 years ago, I think, so Hobo Fabulous is excellent. Please check it out. We are now the official fan club for The Late Show with Craig Ferguson and all things Craig Ferguson, so welcome.
Make sure you pay your monthly dues.
Yes.
All right. We have some really fun stuff coming up. This is a packed week on the PJ Campbell Network. We got something for you almost every night of the week, starting tomorrow with our Monday night watch along. This is of the film Moneyball, and this was a very special executive producer Patreon pick by the wonderful Brandon Buckingham, who will be joining us on camera for the watch along. If you haven't seen this film, it's remarkably good. another written by Aaron Sorkin film. Wonderful performances, one of the best baseball movies ever. I'm super excited to watch it with you all tomorrow. And I know you're a fan of the film as well, Peach.
I am. Shockingly enough, I like things written by Aaron Sorkin. I don't think we've talked about that quite enough on here. This channel is also unofficially becoming a Aaron Sorkin fan club as well.
Well,
so
just for a little bit. Just for a little bit.
But we also just like Aaron Sorkin. So I always look forward to rewatching anything that he's written. Moneyball, I think, is an exemplary sports film, and one of the most interesting too, because it's a sports film that's not quite like a normal sports film. So that's one of the things that's always stood out and made it special to me.
100%. Wednesday night, Suddenly Soundtracks is back. This was supposed to happen last week, but last Wednesday was a fustercluck in this country, so we decided to take some time off and not do a show. But on Wednesday, Chris Clark will be hosting a very special Added to Playlist, wherein we will be naming our top 10 favorite songs of all time, or at least the best top 10 favorite songs of all time we could come up with now. On the show will be myself, PJ, Tim Franco, Jen Kemp, of course, Chris Clark, and our special guest, Max Bartos, who you will know if you saw the Suddenly soundtrack Sing Street. He is a wonderful young actor who appeared off-Broadway in Sing Street. And not only am I excited to hear his choices because he is a professional musical theater actor, but also he is significantly younger than all of us. He's 18 years old. So to hear that sort of different perspective, I think, is always a good thing when talking about favorites, because it'll just make for a more robust and thoughtful evening. Then on Thursday night, I'm so excited about this. Front Center Mezzanine is finally back. Our first show of 2021. We have an incredible guest. Her name is Jennifer Ashley Tepper. She is a producer. She has been the programming director at the Cabaret Club 54 Below for years. She is arguably the most accomplished theater historian on the planet right now, having written 3 volumes of a book series called The Untold Stories of Broadway, which I could not recommend more highly. The stories she has, the people she knows, the stuff she's worked on. She conceived and produced the Jonathan Larson Project a couple of years ago. Really just a remarkable resume. She's a good friend of mine. We're from the same hometown. I'm as much of a fan as I am a friend, and I think it's going to be a great, great conversation on Thursday.
I'm super excited. I've missed Front Center Mez quite a bit, so, it'll be just good to get back in it.
The reality is, with the holidays and stuff, it was just really tough to schedule interviews. But we're going to keep doing it the best we can, and we have a plan in place for when we can't schedule interviews, because as television productions are going back and stuff like this, it's going to become a little more difficult to schedule guests, but we're still going to try and do every 2 weeks an episode of Front Center Mezzanine. My goal with the show is just to celebrate Broadway and theater, so in whatever fashion or form that may take, we're going to do it. Then on Friday night, it is the beginning of PJ's epic birthday weekend, because we are doing a watch-along of The Shining. And why, may you ask, are we watching The Shining? Because on Monday, it is PJ's birthday bash, a watch-along of Dr. Sleep, the director's cut, which is available on HBO Max. I am a huge fan of this film. I know PJ loves it. Obviously, he picked it to watch on his birthday. So join us for both of those, for some Overlook Hotel, Stephen Kingy, Torrance family goodness.
I am so excited, and the whole thing came from essentially honestly doing a double feature of that would have been very long, and I'm glad that we're splitting it up over 2 nights, because I also want people to kind of stew in The Shining if they've never seen it, because a lot of it came from a lot of you asking, hey, should we watch The Shining before we watch Dr. Sleep? And I mean, you don't have to, but I think that it works even better if you've seen it. So for the uninitiated, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to watch Dr. Sleep, which, dude, are you kidding me? It's a fucking masterpiece.
On a less profound note, any opportunity to watch The Shining is okay by me.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I could watch The Shining forever, but
and
obviously,
I do hope Chris Clark will join us for both of those, because I do think both will provide some patented Chris Clark yelps.
That's all I want. If the dog thing doesn't get him, then we've failed as a network.
I agree. Couple other notes. Saturday starts the new edition of the PJCN Water Cooler Chat. We'll be doing weekly reviews of WandaVision, and I do believe 2 episodes of WandaVision are dropping on Friday. So we will discuss both of those episodes in depth. I am really, really excited to do this. Of course, it'll be me, PJ, Sean. I would expect Dwayne Burke is going to be kicking with us for a lot of this. And
Jake Berlin probably
an
too.
array of special guests like Jake Berlin, Frank Janisch, and you never know who else might show up. I'd love to get Abby Friel on because I know she likes the Marvel stuff. As many unique voices as we can get to talk about WandaVision because I think it looks like a really exciting show. Finally, as I'm sure you all know, we have a new show coming up on January 26th called Book Nook, hosted by Dwayne Burke and myself. This is going to be a monthly book club where we dive into the book, discuss the characters, the themes, the narrative, etc. Our hope is that everyone who comes and watches it in the chat gets themselves a copy of the book and reads it so they can, A, know what the fuck we're talking about, and B, engage and ask questions and give their thoughts. We want it to be a really open forum, a dialogue, if you will. And we also will have a guest each month who has also read the book. And I think if you've been paying attention, you'll know that our guest is Sean Sullivan. He loves fantasy. He's been reading the book as well. A final little housekeeping note.
Real quick, I believe HBO Max, not to cut you off. Chris is asking about where The Shining is streaming. I believe it is on HBO Max. I will triple check right now.
That is a good question.
I am looking right now. Don't worry.
I don't know.
I got you.
You may have to rent it, unfortunately. Okay, final housekeeping note. We do have a Patreon. Check it out. See if there's a tier that's right for you. Our $5 and up members will be getting box bloopers in the next few days. $10 and up members get a special monthly audio commentary. In December, it was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And it's only natural that in January, it'll be Shane Black's The Nice Guys. $25 members get to pick their own episode of Suddenly Soundtracks. And on that note, because Brandon Buckingham was a gold member before he upped to a platinum member, in a week or two, scheduled depending, we will be doing his episode of Suddenly Soundtracks, which is Rent. I'm really excited for that one. I think some of that music is incredible and can't wait to talk about it. But too. Of course, we have to give a huge special shout out to our Patreon producers, our executive producers, Brandy Parker, Brandon Buckingham, and Ricardo Franco, and our producers, Mike Kay, Kale the Youth Critic, Stephen White, the lovely Bador, the equally lovely Molly Damon, the exceptionally lovely Jake Berlin. My God, that man is handsome. Patricia Carrillo, and Anton Putra. Thank you all so much for your support. We could not do this without you.
And I don't know if you noticed, we got another $10 patron today. We got a new producer. We got Mr. Tyler Birch. It happened right before we came in.
When I looked to make that graphic today at about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, when I woke up from my nap,
he joined at 6:17.
Oh my goodness.
He joined at 6:17. So Tyler Birch. No, we get to shout him out live just like that. Tyler Birch, welcome to the family, sir.
Thank you, Tyler. L'chaim. Well, it wouldn't be the Unwind without a couple of guests because no one wants to just look at you and me. They get that enough with the watch-alongs.
It's true.
Our first guest is an individual who is always here and always welcome. How would you describe this man?
Well, real quick, first, Anton saying no thank you to us. Are you kidding me? You guys, we do this for you. You don't have to thank us. We love you guys. And also, I did look. The Shining is not currently streaming on Max. I apologize. We are going to have to rent that one, but Dr. Sleep is on Max. So, HBO doing its thing again. So the first person we're bringing in, this man is exceptional. I'm really glad he's here tonight. He is standout, I believe, in the Schmodown community. But you don't see him normally. Would you say that's apt?
Oh, you're doing it in the reverse order.
I am doing. Yeah, I'm doing it.
It's quite all right.
Yeah, because look, we introduce the other guy a lot. All the time. So I want to give.
It's kind of boring at this point. He just is here. He's here on Sundays, and I love that he's here.
he's laughing off camera, and I love it. But look, the truth is,
he gave us the finger.
There's that too. I mean, look, it's all the same. You can laugh and give the finger; it all works. But we have.
Yeah, this gentleman is one of the most talented people I know. I have had the pleasure to become good friends with him over the past few months. I am inspired by his work ethic and the quality of his work. I think, especially in the past season, he is one of the glues that holds the Schmodown together.
He's also exceptionally good at Mario Kart, as we learned last night.
He is quite good at Mario Kart.
He's a fucking champion.
He is. And he also lives in a city, in an area that unexpectedly had a snowstorm today.
I saw that. The Addams brothers, twins. That's what we call them here, is the Addams Brothers twins. They were posting pictures of snow, and I was very confused. But this is not one of the Addams Brothers twins.
No. Mm-mm.
No. This is even better. Can I bring him in now?
Of course.
He's so handsome. Look at that beard on him, too. His name is David B. Hi, buddy.
Hey, hello.
We
up,
like
man?
introductions.
This is
we
a
like to
delight.
give introductions.
I'm blushing.
Aww.
Thank you, guys. That was the most amazing intro I've ever had. Thank you.
Look, you deserve it here,
You deserve
buddy.
all of it.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. And look, Joey's in the chat now. Jeremy's in the chat. We got everyone's starting to pop in here. What's going on, everyone?
It's a
good
party.
to see you.
It's a party.
Now, David, is it true that this season you're gonna do like every Schmodown theme John Williams style?
I can neither confirm nor deny that I would be writing everything in the essence of John Williams, but
okay. Oh, look at that!
Now,
what a scoop,
David. Is it true that you just dropped an album?
yes, that is actually very true. I did just recently drop an album, a beats album, of nothing but chill beats for the background of your life.
and it's the best.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's Sunday Beats, Volume 1. All you got to do is look up David B. Music, literally anywhere you stream music. Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. My boy!
Everyone's so excited to see you.
Thank you, guys.
I'm excited to see him.
I know,
and
man. Me too.
And I knew he was coming.
so moved. Thank you, everyone. What was I saying? Oh, music.
Your album.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah,
look.
Go listen to it. Everywhere music
Yeah,
is
if you haven't heard the album, you absolutely should listen to it. It's really great. It's on Spotify and other places. Give it a stream. And what I think is so great about it, as I notice I'm out of focus, hello, is that
I agree.
David B. made this album to have high quality, fair, free use music for streamers and content creators. I know PJ and I have definitely talked about ways to integrate the music in some of our future stuff. But, you know, as DCMA regulations and copyright issues become more increasingly difficult to navigate, it's awesome to have really great music to use that's authentic and genuine. So,
Yes.
thank you for that as a content
of course.
creator, I guess.
The intention with it, and I got to give a shout out to my boy Dwayne because he gave me the idea, and I liked that idea. The album is essentially for any streamers and content creators to have just kind of music in their background. All I ask, obviously, is don't sell it as your own, clearly.
Yeah.
And if you're going to use it, just give me a credit somewhere on description or on screen. And if anyone has problems, if for some reason you do get copyright strike, send me a message and I'll clear that right up because it's completely free use. I'm not going to copyright strike. Unless you're C2A, I may copyright strike you. But
Yeah, I mean, C2A deserves the copyright strike. Let's be real
they
here.
definitely deserve it. Those no coin giving bastards. Anyways,
We have who I can only assume is Suge here saying the musical genius that is David B.
Shug, that would be late to the party,
That's
my friend.
Oh,
That's Robert.
I am
That's
losing my
probably
mind.
Robert Montano right there.
You are 100% right, and I am so sorry. I saw the colors, and
Yes.
my mind went to the total wrong place.
That's all right. It happens. Welcome to this weekend Unwind. It's been a long fucking week, and we finally got here.
It's been a long year, hasn't it?
It really has. Welcome to 2020 Part 2 The Revenge. That is what I've named it.
This week has been an exhausting decade.
And speaking of an exhausting
my sincere
decade.
apologies to Late to the Party. And since Late to the Party's here in the chat, I'm going to announce something that I was going to hold off on.
All right.
But we'll go ahead. So 2 weeks from tonight, we are doing a hyper-focused episode of The Unwind. It is going to be Survivor Island, as only we do here at the PJ Campbell Network. There's going to be fighting. There's going to be war. I'm sure Tim Franco is going to fuck shit up as only he can. And we are doing top 10 episodes of The Office. And the reason I bring this up is because we are being joined by Late to the Party, who are big fans of The Office. I'm big fans of them. And also, here's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
I hope you have a big trunk because I'm going to put my guitar in it.
Look at you. What's up, buddy? How are you?
You play guitar? What kind of guitar is it?
Oh, no, I don't. I used to have a bass. I used to play bass back in high school, but
So a 4-string guitar. Nice.
not anymore. Yep. No, it was a 6-string. No, just kidding. Yeah, I barely dabbled. I was more just like,
Or as I like to call it, a big ass ukulele.
yeah, pretty much. I always thought stand-up bass was pretty cool, though. My buddy played stand-up bass in a rockabilly psychobilly band that he used to front, and now he's more into like rockabilly and stuff. But yeah, they were a lot of fun. I have multiple CDs from them because he gave me a bunch just to give out once they kind of disbanded. So if anyone wants any music from the Dead Tones, they're on Spotify. So
nice.
Dead Tones, that's a fun name.
Yeah, it's all like, most psychobilly is very like horror, sci-fi related kind of music. So
for sure.
So how's it going? I cut my thumb tonight.
Oh no! Doing what?
What did you do?
I was cutting bell peppers, and I just I had a really sharp knife, and
your finger is not a bell pepper. How many times have I had to tell you this?
No, but it tastes pretty good in the soup.
Although, if you believe some of today's news, Army Hammer would like your thumb on a sandwich.
Someone
said something, wasn't it?
Mike,
I actually think it's all made up.
I think it's all fake
and false. But the fact that out of anyone it could have been about, some people willingly believed it about Army Hammer just goes to show what an interesting man he is.
Well, I do have to
Mike
say,
requested a Pyrenees. He said he requested Pyrenees, but if you know the three Pyrenees, you can't just make them do what you want them to do. They're very stubborn. So at some point, you'll probably see Gallifrey at some point, and you'll probably see Gwen. She has a cone around her neck, so you'll see her. But
poor baby.
Right now, they're somewhere, but they'll come through eventually.
They're hiding in their shame, probably.
Gwen, I think Gwen's on the bed, but yeah, she'll get down eventually.
Speaking of rumors, has it been confirmed that Kanye West rumor is just that, a rumor?
I don't know.
With Jeffree Star?
I don't listen.
I haven't heard of that rumor. I don't really
see. That's what I didn't hear anything about Army Hammer, but my Twitter is ablaze with Kanye West divorcing Kim Kardashian because allegedly.
David, I'm very concerned about what you're doing on Twitter right now.
I don't know why I get it either. I literally don't.
Allegedly, he's with Jeffree Star. Is that the rumor?
Yeah. No, allegedly, he slept with Jeffree Star, and that's why Kim is breaking up, getting a divorce.
I'll say this: Jeffree Star is a terrible human being.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, with that. I think
we always like to start the Sunday Unwind by going around and talking about everyone's week in pop culture. What did you watch? What did you read? What did you play? Whatever it is that helped your week get by a little quicker. So why don't we start with our guest, David B.
Ooh, thank you. What did I do this week? That's a great question. I released an album. Finally, it came out. You did. I've been playing a lot of Shadow of the Tomb Raider on Steam. Okay. Like a lot of that. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. In terms of pop culture, what did I see or listen to? I mean, I saw the news on Wednesday. Is that pop culture? Just kidding.
It's something.
It's something, yeah. I didn't really... I mean, honestly, that's all I've been really doing is just playing video games. Oh, and I managed to find a hard copy of Star Wars: The High Republic, Light of the Jedi. So I've been slowly reading that this week as well. And I'm, losing at Mario Kart to Jen, and TJ, and Chris.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And
no idea.
I've been playing a lot of also with my the good thing about having a PC is I've been able to reconnect with old friends from high school. Yeah. Dude, can we talk about that book? I mean, I'll just no spoilers or plot details, but like
it's so fucking good, dude.
I said this sarcastically on my Instagram, but that like those first chapters open up with a bang. Literally,
dude. Okay, I'll say this, not to like we kind of brought this up the other night and I don't want to say a ton, but I thought the brilliant conceit of that very first chapter alone
so
inside
good.
I don't want to say a lot because I don't want to make any spoilers, but I was absolutely blown away by how they managed to pivot the way that they did, and I was not expecting it.
Yeah.
I think we're planning on doing a spoiler review or discussion on the channel.
So if you want to be on
another week to week and a half once everyone's had time to finish it up.
Yeah, I'll try to finish it up. I'm definitely going to finish it sometime this week, but literally when I like no joke, I'm a very emo boy and proud of it. So when I finished that first chapter, like tears started welling in my eyes. And then when we get to that other, I don't want to give too much away, but once we get to the chapter where we finally meet our heroes,
yeah,
and like the theme surrounding them and all the like cool stuff, I got tears in my eyes again. Like, oh my god, this is Star Wars.
Yeah, 100%. Well, speaking of someone who apparently likes Star Wars and knows Star Wars, this fucking fool decided that he had to be on the show, but then he had to be half an hour late because he wishes that he was late to the party, but he's not. His name is Sean. Hi, Sean.
I'm sorry that I have a day job.
Nobody cares about your day job.
Hey, apology accepted, friend.
Okay, David accepted.
No, the line is apology accepted, Captain Nita.
Captain Nita. I should have gone there. You know what? I know.
Look, who invited David B?
We invited David B because you didn't decide to play Mario Kart with us last night. So
I don't like Mario Kart.
Well, we don't like you then. It's fine. I'm going to be real sassy with you tonight. How about that?
I just almost did a spit take, PJ. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't like Mario Kart. I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't like you. I'm
sorry. But hey,
we did
happy
have some
Sunday,
people
everybody.
just hanging out and commenting. You could have graced us with your presence, but I guess you have better friends.
I was like,
everyone's so excited to see Sean all of a sudden.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Then everyone's just like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Fuck you, Sean."
It was my first day back at work, and it was a long day. Just got home. Well, I harassed Jill. I went and harassed Jill in POV for a little bit, and then I had to do that.
It's probably a good place to harass Jill. Mm-hmm. I mean, she is one of the hosts.
Mm-hmm.
It's only fair. And just to finish off, and I watched Tenet for a second time. There we go.
Hell yeah, dude! Tenet is getting better and better upon every watch. Let me tell you.
Tenet does get good, but like once I start talking to people about everything surrounding it, eventually you just kind of like talk yourself into like a deep dark hole. And you're just like, it's just a movie. Fuck it, and you try to move on.
I love it. I think it's the most brilliantly batshit crazy Christopher Nolan movie ever, and it makes me so happy.
I liked it. I wouldn't say it's like his best film either, but it's not his worst to me.
Kale, did I lose Mario Kart to Sean? Are you fucking kidding me? If Sean and I play Mario Kart, I'm going to destroy him. I just want that noted.
He would never play it, though.
Yeah.
Mario Kart doesn't like you.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I didn't grow up on Mario Kart. I played Smash Bros. Like a real man.
We don't like that sort of talk here on the channel.
No, we don't. That's a bad word.
Like a real Mario.
Okay.
Okay, great.
I'll allow that.
Let's move on.
All right. Let's move on. Tim, what was your week in pop culture like?
I'm sure I watched things that I can't remember, but I also watched Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird because they put it on HBO Max in HD. And I don't think it's ever been released on Blu-ray. I have it on DVD, but I was excited to watch it on streaming somewhere. And that movie's great. If you've never seen it, it came out in 1985. It's about Big Bird getting adopted, but then he runs away from his adopted family. And so the gang
that movie's fucking amazing.
Has to go on a road trip to find Big Bird, and it's great. It's a road trip movie. It's awesome. Got a lot of great cameos. And then we had some news come out of the Marvel world about Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead directing Moon Knight. So then I watched The Endless again because I was like, well, this seems like a good day to watch The Endless considering these two guys are getting some much due recognition. So that movie's great. I love it. It might come up later on in today because we might be talking about a certain thing. And then what else? Oh, last night I watched House Guest, which is a movie with from 1992 with Phil Hartman and Sinbad. That is hilarious, and I love it. And I have that on DVD because I don't think it's on Blu-ray either, but I love that movie, and it cracks me up. Then I've been watching Kim's Convenience, trying to finish that up, and I really am enjoying that. And then I finished reading Seven Eves, so then I started rereading. I've also read this before, but I like rereading stuff, and I'm reading Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian. or the evening redness in the West, which is a great, which is like a great. It's kind of a fascinating book because it's supposedly got some truth behind it, but nothing.
I heard the same thing,
I
Chris.
also heard that, and I just assumed that I misheard.
Nope, I heard it too.
People heard Sesame Strip.
Maybe I did. I had
Real quick, where can I watch that movie?
Sesame Strip. It's on HBO Max.
For science, okay.
Hey, dude, don't say for science. It's a good fucking movie. Don't worry about it.
There is a scene with Big Bird in a cage.
Now,
perfect.
I would like to apologize in advance for this segue, but speaking of stripping, we have another guest.
Oh man, we're off the rails already tonight. Okay. It's only 30 minutes in.
Sometimes the softball gets lobbed your way and you have no choice but to hit it.
You gotta hit it out of the park.
What up, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, that was a home run.
That
was definitely a home run.
Tattoo that ball out of here.
Now I want a slime cannon on either side of me.
Sounds like your wet dream.
Context, Maxwell. Context.
I'm good.
Oh man.
But yeah, I just want to say this book, if you've never read it, it's really good, and I would love for this to be turned into a movie. I know they've like tried to turn it into a movie, and there's like scripts out there, but it's never really worked out. But I think it would be a really cool, alternative type Western movie, and it takes place
love to see Andrew Dominic take a crack at it. He directed Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that similar kind of like tone and stuff. You know, it's not super action packed, and
yeah,
it deals with a lot of darkness, and it's got a great villain who may or may not be an actual person in history. There's a lot of weird, like it's a very kind of like almost like a legend story that hasn't been proven if it was actually true or not, but.
Kind of like Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
He was like an albino, and he's like an albino massive man known as the Judge, and he's like the villain of the story essentially. So yeah, but Cormac McCarthy's great. He's a great writer.
He is an incredible.
He's got a new book he's working on that it's supposed he's going to be coming out this year, which I'm kind of excited about. So yeah,
awesome. I have been keeping a list of things I want to watch soon, and those Benson and Moorhead films are just encroaching higher and higher up to my, I'm going to watch those soon.
Mine too.
It's time. Because I trust your taste, Tim, and if you swear by them. And then I know Synchronic, their new film, hits VOD on the Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, I'm finally excited to check it out.
I've heard good things about it too. All right, Dwayne. So I don't know if you heard us or if you're watching, but talk about your week in pop culture. What'd you read? What'd you play?
Real quick, Anton wants to know, what was the book again, Franco?
Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy.
My week in pop culture has mainly consisted of almost winning a lot of games of Warzone.
Perfect.
Good job.
I got a lot of second and third places. I saw someone in the chat said it. I watched Promising Young Woman, which I think is fantastic. If you have the opportunity to watch it, please watch it because it is fun.
There's a reason it was number 2 on my top 10 of 2020, and it hits VOD on January 15th, so everyone will be able to watch it then.
Yep. And I got to season 8 of Stargate SG-1, and
there it is.
About halfway through season 1 of Stargate Atlantis, because now that they're running concurrently, I'm watching them both. Like I alternate an episode of each. And then I'm also just about finished with the Ruins of Gorlan, and then once I'm done with that, I'll finally start The Light of the Jedi.
Awesome.
The Sesame Strip jokes just keep going. Perfect.
$1 bill, $2 bill.
Now, kids, Snuffleupagus is doing the spread eagle, but you can't tell because you can't see him.
This is a perfect time to say, if you've never seen the Oscar the Grouch SNL sketch where they do
David Harbour?
with David Harbour, where it's a trailer for a gritty reboot of Sesame Street.
Oh,
Now is the perfect time to look it up on YouTube.
It's basically the Joker.
It's completely aping the Joker, like down to the shots and everything they do, and it is incredible. I think it's just called Grouch, but if you look it up on YouTube, it comes up, and it is remarkable.
It's awesome. I really like that quite a bit. That brings us to the man who watches no movies, Sully.
What do you want from me?
Tell us about
it's like
your
you don't
pop
even
culture.
know what this show is
I
anymore.
was gonna say,
this isn't our 13th episode, and you've been on like 12 of those 13.
You would think at some point I would be prepared for this statement, but I'm just really not. Like
that's because you're bad at your job.
Like even still, well, no, it's because I literally get home from work and then hop on here. What did I do this week? I watched Cobra Kai again, all the way through. It's a great show. Big fan. I convinced Maxwell to finish Cobra Kai.
That was a joint effort, by the way.
I know it was. I will probably give you more credit than me because you have better taste than I do, apparently, is what I'm told on the internet.
Those are facts, actually.
I also started watching at Maxwell's accidental recommendation. What's the name of the fucking show that I've been watching like 12 episodes of? Designated Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
How is that
because we were talking about it one night.
Because it's the same actor in Cobra Kai.
Yeah, you brought it up, and I was scrolling through Netflix. I'm like, I don't remember what context this came up in, but I'm going to watch it. It's
and then
not.
You saw the kid.
And then I saw the kid. I'm like, oh right, that kid's in it, and I hate him still. He's got like the most punchable face. No wonder he's in a karate show.
I feel bad saying that about a child, but his face is super punchable.
He's not a child though anymore.
Who is
Maybe
it?
he wasn't designated.
No, Robbie.
Robbie.
Yeah, he plays Kiefer Sutherland's son.
And when I first started watching Cobra Kai, it took me a minute to figure out how I knew him. And then when I remembered he was on Designated Survivor, I was like, he played the single worst teenage character in the history of television.
Yeah. I mean, he's not bad. Maybe, I don't know. Have you watched that whole series?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm only like partway through season 1, so maybe he gets worse, but he starts out really shitty, kind of gets a little better. Does he get worse or something?
It was just sort of emblematic for me. Like that was a time in television where every show felt like they had to give their main character a problematic teenage kid.
Yeah.
And to me, the writing for this character was just like the most stereotypical approach to that trope that wasn't needed and took away from the exciting politics and action of the show.
I mean, he's definitely... Go ahead.
Interesting thing about that show is that it was on, NBC or
it was ABC. No, it was ABC.
Yeah. And then it switched to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So once it goes to Netflix, they start cursing a little more. It gets a little edgier.
But season 2 had Michael J. Fox. That's all I'm saying.
So far, I'm loving it, but it feels like that kid's playing the same character. Like he's just Robbie. He's just Robbie. He's just angry kid. Whatever. I watched 0 movies this week. That of course that weren't Star Wars. You don't want to hear me say I watched Star Wars at some point.
Did you though?
I watched Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
And I watched Revenge of the Sith.
Fascinating.
I think my camera froze there for a second.
A little bit.
Probably.
Your camera's just so tired of hearing you talk about Attack of the Clones.
Oh, thank you, Kale. I appreciate that.
I like Attack of the Clones. I also watched. I've been watching more of The Good Place. I'm on season 2 of The Good Place, but I have to watch that at Jill's pace, which is much slower than mine. And then of course I read Light of the Jedi, or I'm partway through Light of the Jedi. I'm sure whatever David B said about it was great. I agree with David B. Jarl Poof is in it.
Yes, he is.
Nothing but good things so far for that book, legitimately.
Spoilers for Jarl Poof. Jarl Poof fans will be satisfied.
All right, I'll go, I guess, because on that's a good note to let Sean stop talking.
We were all waiting for that, so thank you, Maxwell.
So Sean sort of spoiled it. I did watch all of Cobra Kai this week. And when I started
Christ,
it,
Sean.
Oh, it's fine. When I started it, I was having a bit of a rough time with it. I think that indeed. I think that first half of the first season is pretty rough going. And then at a certain point, I think it all sort of clicks together. The first season is fine. And then season 2 is really good. And then season 3 was great. I mean, it's still cheesy, melodramatic, incredibly stupid, like television, but it's a blast.
Could not agree more.
Like, I'm not putting it up there with Mad Men and The Wire and The Sopranos, but
I'm also putting it up there with Sopranos and Mad Men.
Who doesn't want? I mean, any show that can convincingly make you believe that, yeah, in this high school, karate battles would break out.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. The most impressive thing to me is William Zabka. I really think he's just fucking great on the show. I think his characters had the best writing, and he's really had the opportunity to like grow and flex his muscles and show so many different aspects to his personality.
I thought
he's terrific.
And you know, I don't know if anyone saw it. I put it on Twitter, like, because I rewatched season 3 as well. No spoiler, but like, I have to say that dude deserves an action franchise after this too. I think he's talented enough to lead something like Taken. If you give him the chance, I think he could do like a really great B action movie.
I agree. Yeah. Let's see. I'm also reading Light of the Jedi, thoroughly enjoying it. As I said, hopefully, in a week or a week and a half when we're all done with it, we'll do an in-depth spoiler talk here on the channel. And I didn't really watch any movies this week other than Robert Rodriguez's We Can Be Heroes, which I thought was utterly delightful. It's on Netflix. It sort of takes place in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl world and the Spy Kids world. He's creating his own little Rodriguez verse, and I'm here for it. It's like cheesy and inventive and whimsical, and it has an incredibly good heart. And Pedro Pascal looks fine as hell in his superhero outfits. I'm sure Dwayne would agree. It's just a really fun movie with a good message. And I'm glad it's doing really well for Netflix, because it's the type of movie, if I'd seen it when I was like 8 or 9, I would have been obsessed with it. And I'm almost obsessed with it now, and I'm 33. So, and then I recently got the new Xbox, and it came with like a couple months free of Game Pass. So I've been playing all these old games. So I've been playing the Master Chief Collection. I've been playing the hell out of Halo, which is a blast. And then there's also a Cobra Kai video game, which I've been playing. It's like a side-scrolling fighter.
It's very like old school arcade.
I think it's a little probably overpriced for what it is, but it is fun. It reminds me of like the old Simpsons game where you would just... Yeah, exactly.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World had a similar...
Yeah. All the actors came in and did voices for it, and the storytelling is pretty good. It definitely, helps if you've watched the show through season 2. Because, Hawk's there, Miguel, all of them. So it's been fun to play.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character on Cobra Kai?
Me?
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah, he said that, dipshit.
No, I said
he liked William Zabka.
It's a joke. Sean, I need you to relax.
My other favorite character is Daniel's wife.
Oh yeah, she's
dude.
Because I think she is like the sassy, intelligent voice of reason that like rolls her eyes at all this stupid shit that's going on, and every time she gets to say stuff like that, which is a lot, I'm like, yes, this is how I feel. These guys are acting like assholes. I don't think it's a spoiler, but there's one line that she's like, so, have you told her about your karate dojo battle for the soul of the valley? Yeah. And I'm like, that's perfect.
It's the fucking best. It's
thumbs up the show, and I love you so much.
My favorite character in that show has got to be pretty clear.
I think Johnny probably.
He likes, yeah, of course. Except then you got mad at me for ordering Johnny's new dojo's sweatshirt. I'm just saying.
No, Hawk. Hawk is my favorite character.
That was Hawk.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I played a Hawk noise.
Oh,
I can't stand Hawk.
Yeah,
I know. I can't either. That's why I love him.
Can't stand him.
Even after season 3, I still can't stand him.
Oh, he has so much to make up for.
He was pretty much irredeemable. So it's gonna be hard
there's one particular thing he did that I thought was a line too far.
I'll say this, Steven. No, because it was still a Netflix season, technically, or a YouTube season that Netflix picked up. They just didn't air it on YouTube because they had shut down YouTube Red at that point, or YouTube Premium, or whatever it ended up being. So it
definitely feels like with each season the budget got better, but I will say it doesn't, even in the first season, feel like a YouTube show. It feels like a real well-budgeted television show.
I thought that season 3 felt the most like a movie, and that's a compliment.
I think season 3 had the best overarching narrative.
Yeah.
I gotta get on it. I gotta finish that series.
Yes, you do, sir.
Right after I finish Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because I'm almost done with that.
I didn't hear you, Dwayne.
You're muted, my friend.
Oh, you're muted.
No.
I think you're muted.
Buddy, there's a button on your mic.
Oh, there we go. Yep. Yeah, I hit the mute button on the mic. I was gonna say, as you guys can probably tell, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I've got little to no interest in watching Cobra Kai. I don't care. I didn't like the Karate Kid that much, so
neither did I. It's fine.
Yeah. So
I like it more than Karate Kid for what it's worth, Dwayne.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I will eventually get to it, but it's like so far down my list of things that I'm gonna watch.
I feel that.
I got a lot of. I'm finishing SG1 before I even touch.
Yeah.
There are some shows where I would be like a big advocate for everyone to watch it. And what are you talking about? This is one where if you're not that interested, I wouldn't like. Not that I don't like it, but it's not something. But I did also finally start my rewatch of Battlestar Galactica because I put up a Twitter poll last month. And that was the show that won. And God, right from that first episode, like first part of the miniseries, it's just in another level. That, we want to talk peak sci-fi television, that show. Whew. So good. All right, PJ.
Well, funny enough, I did rewatch Cobra Kai and Karate Kid Part 2 and Part 3. I don't want to really say why I would have gone back to those ones specifically, but they definitely play into some of the stuff going on.
I mean, the context is clear. Why?
Yeah. But the other thing I kind of went back to that I hadn't seen in a little bit is I rewatched Highlander, and I started rewatching Highlander the series, which I haven't seen in probably about a decade.
How can there be a series if there can be only one, PJ?
Because science fiction always finds a way, Maxwell. That's the only explanation I have for you. And I forgot, Highlander the series was actually done as a 90s syndicated series. It wasn't owned by any network. So it's actually a little bit edgier than I remembered, but also makes me laugh that out the gate they have Connor McLeod show up just to disappear again, because they're like, well, I guess we should have Connor from the original and pass the baton to his clans member who you never met in the original, and not like a clans member from Scotland because they're Highlanders. But I was having fun with it, man. It's very 90s cheesy syndicated television, but the best part is they still use Queen as the opening theme of the show, Princess of the Universe, and I just really love the lore of Highlander, and it all kind of came from, we were on a late night call one night, and we started talking about the movie, and I don't remember even the context.
Hold on.
I did.
No.
I
did. Started talking about Highlander.
Talking about
We listened.
I mean, I talked with you for a little bit on the call, but then I stopped, but you kept just talking about Highlander.
Oh,
that's probably accurate.
After we had all kind of moved on.
PJ gave a fucking TED talk about Highlander, and we were all just like,
I started working on spreadsheets. He was talking so much about Highlander.
I love Highlander. It's weird, and it makes me happy.
We are here to support your passions. We just don't always have to engage.
Yeah,
Can we just talk about the fact that Sean Connery plays a Spaniard Egyptian in those movies, and it's very confusing because he's neither a Spaniard nor Egyptian. Just throwing that out there.
So Kale says, do you think I should experiment and just watch Cobra Kai blind without the other films in mind?
I think you can. So, all right, I'm the most educated to speak on this, right? I don't give a shit about Karate Kid. I've seen the first one. I haven't seen any of the other ones. You totally can because they feed you all the information you need. In the series.
I think that you should watch the Karate Kid / Kung Fu Kid, depending on what country you're in, and then watch Cobra Kai.
I don't disagree.
And that's all you need.
I would watch the first movie.
Yeah, I'd watch at least the first one. I love the chat's all excited that I was watching.
Sources
Highlander
confirm
2.
John Roca is a Highlander because he is an immortal.
Excited to make old jokes about Roca.
Well, I mean, but some people might look at that as people wanting to cut off Roca's head, which is another questionable thing entirely. Because there's that.
A little known fact is John Roca was also the inspiration for the old guard.
That's probably accurate. I think he was the inspiration for the Sean Connery character in Highlander, to be honest. And I would never cut off Roca's head. I love that gentleman very, very much. So there's that. Oh, look at Sean with the tund. Outside of that, obviously, we watched Steve Jobs on the channel, which was a lot of fun. I love that movie. It was just really great to revisit it. But yeah, to be honest with you guys, the way the week kind of went, to be honest, I've been watching a lot of news and coverage of the things going on in the world versus having fun watching things that I normally would. But when I get spare time, I would toss other things on. I was watching a lot of Craig Ferguson reruns, courtesy of YouTube. So that was fun. But yeah, if you've never seen Highlander, I really recommend watching at least the original Highlander. I think that movie is a real great 80s gem. It's a very specific tone, and not everyone's going to enjoy it, but it's at least worth a watch. And, Sean Connery, the late, great Sean Connery is in it, which is always fun to see him in a very interesting supporting role.
And it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And you got Clancy Brown.
And you got Clancy Brown as the villain, who was just announced, actually, as the villain for Dexter in the new Dexter return.
I am intrigued by that, for sure.
Me too.
Clancy Brown is also quite good in Promising Young Woman.
Yeah. Also, can I say real quick, has everyone here seen Dexter?
Yes.
Okay. Well, for those who don't, it's got one of the most... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the first 4 seasons are some of my favorite all-time television.
Great.
And I think the way it ended in season 4 would have been a really poetic, ambiguous ending. 5 and 6 are fine. 7 and 8 are just, and it's maybe my least favorite ending ever.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
The only thing good about 7 is Ray Stevenson as the villain.
Yeah,
he's really great, but he's kind of wasted in that season.
So I am not hating the idea that they're
fixing
getting to retcon it or fix it. If it were me, I would what I would do is have it be that he got arrested at the end of season 4. Seasons 5 through 8 were his I'm in an insane asylum dreams, and then he gets let out and it starts again.
That's actually what I was going to bring up, is that the way that the stuff with Clancy Brown came out, it's very interesting because it sounds like it's actually a straight continuation, which had
I think that's what it will be, yeah.
I mean, I think it will be too, but I was just very... look, I'm glad the original showrunner for the first 4 seasons is coming back. They clearly want to right the wrongs that they did, and Clancy Brown is always an excellent choice. If you've never seen Shawshank or Highlander or literally anything the dude has been in, he's always incredible.
I always forget that's him in Shawshank because he looks so young and felt. And then I'm like, oh, that's Clancy Brown.
I'll say this, Chris. Endgame makes me smile in a lot of ways, but also Endgame, and we were having this conversation the other night, or I guess I was talking to them and they were listening. Essentially, Endgame was one of the first trailers where I realized that they literally only shot stuff for the trailer to make it look cooler than the actual movie they were releasing. And then none of that was in there. Hi, Sean. You're raising your hand so nicely.
I think the rest of the panel could agree. Maybe you're alone. Maybe you're gonna stay on the other side of this one, but Highlander Endgame is the worst film with Endgame in the title.
I'd have to look, but most likely, yes.
I mean, there might be.
Are we talking about those particular letters? Because I would think Ender's Game is probably the.
Ooh, there. That's
all right, Dwayne.
I will say, Highlander.
That was also clearly just a thinly veiled way of Sean saying he likes Avengers Endgame.
Yes, it was. Yes. And I'll just say, in support of Sean, Highlander does have one of the worst sequels of all time in Highlander 2: The Source. Or Highlander 2: The Quickening. The Source is also bad. That was a
I'm sorry. The Quickening?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Is it about sand?
The quickening is the like power that they fight for.
Yeah, and as it turned out, in that version of the movie, there's a different cut of the movie that is better, but still not very good. But Highlander 2 tried to make them aliens from another planet, and it's a fucking disaster.
It's got Michael Ironsides, though.
So
yeah,
are we
and
going to
John C.
talk
McGinley.
about? Are we going to talk about the most important
and favorite sequels?
News? No, I was going to say television news. The fact that Sex and the City is going to get rebooted on HBO Max without Samantha.
I mean, let's talk about it, Dwayne.
So Samantha is very clearly the best character in Sex and the City, and the fact that it'll be Samantha-less is concerning.
Yep. I was in until I heard that, and I was like, "Yep." Nah,
Kim Cattrall doesn't want to do it, so I respect that. But then, just don't do it.
Yeah, I 100% know why. I 100% know why Samantha's not in it, but I have zero interest in the show if she's not on the show.
Do they not get along? Is that a part of it?
No.
That's what I'm just asking to make sure.
No, they do not. There's some very deep divides there.
That's what I thought.
I just like to take a step back for 1 second and note what Sean has put in the private chat. Webster's Dictionary defines quickening as of a woman reach a stage in pregnancy when movements of the fetus can be felt.
Or of a fetus beginning to show signs of life, apparently. So thank you for that, Sean.
That's the Highlander's power. I'm confused. I need context.
I mean,
there's no context.
Exactly what it's about. So
nailed it.
Nailed it.
Oh, Anton wants us also, by the way.
They get struck by lightning when they cut off the head of another Highlander, and then they're pregnant. And then they're pregnant. That's what they from.
Real quick, I do want to say, I keep wondering about this, Kale, because I think Highlander, of all things, is like most prime for a reboot, and we know Stahelski's been working on it, but they've also been saying that he may be repurposing it for a TV show, so I'd be curious in the end how it ends up coming together. He wants to do two sword fight movies, what he did with John Wick, and I'm very curious. Like, he's been on record saying he wants to make something that is like true to the lore, but even more full of action and things like that. Because truth be told, people forget Highlander's actually a canon movie, and canon is notorious for like bad B movies. Sean, I saw your face. Canon was a company that made
great B movies.
Yeah, great B movies, but B movies nonetheless. And Highlander feels it.
I'm gonna address the chat real quick, and I'm just gonna say, chat, don't encourage PJ to talk about Highlander. Okay.
Can I?
I'll keep going. He's not wrong.
We already went through this. That was my weekly pop culture. Listening to PJ talk about Highlander. I just made up all the other shit I talked about at the beginning of the show. I didn't actually watch anything else this week. I just heard PJ talk about Highlander because then he was texting me about it too.
He's not wrong. I was.
He sent me a screen. He sent me a photo he took of him watching it.
Actually, I sent you a picture of one of the dogs who was watching it.
Oh, well, what a difference that makes.
Yeah, it's true.
So
I really care about Highlander. Sorry.
As the Chris Galicki Highlander movie, and I got a very different image.
Where is Chris Galicki right now? Someone send him the link. We need to talk to that gentleman.
Yeah, why is he never on these unwinds?
Because Chris Galicki he didn't exist. He was like an algorithm that wrote questions.
I like that Reefism's like, I don't mind that I keep talking about Highlander. We're doing a great job tonight. This show is only an hour in, and we're totally not off the rails or anything.
There's no rails on this show.
That's true. Mike actually asked a great question to everyone. He says, what series would you like to see happen as a continuation of a movie or a franchise similar to Cobra Kai?
Ooh, we were just talking about it. I'd love to see Highlander, the series.
Yes, David B. Get on my level!
Done again.
Side note, I've never seen anything Highlander ever.
David, you're my new favorite person on here. You are allowed back anytime you want.
I would love to see a Star Wars TV series as a continuation of the movies.
Follow that, everybody. Follow
Your
that.
turn, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai's the better movie, Kylie, but Highlander just makes me smile. Plus, it's got a soundtrack by Queen. So,
Trying to think of one.
I have two answers. One of which is oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I have an answer. It had a series. Granted, it was animated. And we'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk about this movie given the subject of the episode. But I would love to see a Tron series.
that animated series actually was quite good, though, Dwayne. What a
it is. No. Yeah. I'm not denigrating the animated series.
Oh no, I was just saying, great shout out because it's good.
I would like to continue in that world, whether it's another animated series or live action. I don't really care. I just want more.
I agree 100%.
I just thought about this because I think we were talking about this the other day too. Even though it started as a movie and we might be getting a sequel, I would appreciate it more if they fleshed it out in a series. Alita, Battle Angel. I think as a series that would work way better, especially considering source material and the manga and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that's very possible, actually. All things being equal.
Yeah, I would prefer a series over just a straight sequel.
Yeah, I think they tried to pack too much into that first movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of movie in that movie.
I think my answer actually is Chronicles of Riddick, because I don't know how far we are if we're going to get a continuation from Riddick or not, and so I'd really love to see if they could do it on TV instead. I like those movies a lot, and I would love to see them continue it in some fashion. I mean, I know that the new one is written because Diesel shared the pictures of it like over the summer, but you never know. So if not, anything in that universe would be cool to me.
What I would love is if we got Escape from Butcher Bay as a series. Because I think
that game was amazing.
Because I think one of the biggest problems with that game in particular, granted it was before its time, but one of the like things that people really want to know is like, how did Riddick get the eye shine and stuff like that? Because he's not born with it. It's not something that he was born with. So that's where you would put that in the series, because he got it while he was in Butcher Bay. And if I remember correctly, he's the only person to ever escape from Butcher Bay as well.
Yep, 100%.
I have a weird one. I would love a Buckaroo Banzai TV series with
that would bring
back Peter Weller and Jeff Goldblum and Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown was in that as well. But yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun and weird, and I'll be all for it.
Wasn't Kevin Smith gonna make a series about that at one point or time?
He was, and then there was a problem with the rights that ended up like halting everything going on with it, and he left the project when he said he couldn't do it without the express interest of the people who were involved, who created it, but were kind of getting screwed out of it by MGM, and so decided that he wouldn't come back until they fixed whatever was going on with it.
Did he release? Because wasn't he also working on Masters of the Universe or a He-Man series?
He is working on that for Netflix, right?
Yes.
Is he still working on it? It's not out yet, right?
No, it's not out, but they just recorded with Mark Hamill, so that's where that's at.
Okay.
So one I always wanted is actually happening, and I think it kind of looks to be in the vein of Cobra Kai, and that's the Mighty Ducks.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
My other thought was Underworld. I think it would make a really cool TV show, because the lore in that world I think is really cool.
I agree.
And it can make a great like Netflix or HBO show or whatever.
That could be fun, yeah.
I will be right back. I'm gonna go grab something to drink.
Okay.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
You guys think he's getting scotch because it's from
I was gonna say, please, someone take him out.
I got you.
So what is everybody drinking?
I'm drinking water.
I basically made my own White Claws and roasted gin with ruby red grapefruit seltzer water.
Very nice.
Mike Messina, I don't think we will ever see anything else in the Entourage universe. Especially after the way the movie performed. I don't think we're going to see anything else from that group.
I agree with that. I'm drinking Montauk Hard Seltzer, which is a local hard seltzer from a local brewery, and it might be the best hard seltzer I've ever had.
I am drinking whiskey hard seltzer. It's not hard seltzer, but I just wanted to fit in.
Well, I am drinking water.
Yep, same here.
Just
that's
non-seltzered.
Oh.
Do we want to start getting into sequels before PJ can start talking about Highlander 2?
Highlander 2?
Yeah,
we can. So early this morning when I was up because I couldn't sleep, I made a tweet that was the Maxwell had sequels that are better than the original starter pack, and then it started spreading, and a lot of people did their own entries. So I thought it would be fun tonight in the second half of our show to talk about our favorite sequels, in particular ones that you think are better than the original.
Is direct sequel or just sequel after the first?
No,
film?
it doesn't have to be a direct sequel. If it's like a long-running series, it can be.
Well, I'll start with one that's I guess lighthearted before we start getting into the more deep ones. But Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Oh yeah,
I think
I lost my mojo.
I think that is a superior sequel.
I really agree.
So, I mean, I don't say what you will about Goldmember. I think some people think Goldmember is better, but I think the best of the films is The Spy Who Shagged Me for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I like Goldmember a lot still, but they reuse a lot of the same jokes that were first done in Spy Who Shagged Me. So I got to give Spy Who Shagged Me a slight leg up because of that. But yeah, it's great.
What's going on? What are we talking about?
In terms of lighthearted,
I would say Caravan of Courage.
I mean, I like Battle for Endor a little more than Caravan for Courage, but
that's fair. I think Battle for Endor is pretty good too. I just have a hard time with Battle for Endor because the sets are all reused from a fantasy movie, so it kind of takes me out a little bit.
There's a couple people in the chat calling for Box the movie. Would that basically be like Between Two Ferns, the movie?
I think they'll enjoy what we have coming.
Will that be before or after Box the musical?
I think Box the musical is technically our first movie.
So the sequel.
So would it be Box the musical, or
it would be Box the musical, the series?
Yeah.
Oh, we're making it into a series? Box the musical series, musical? Wait.
The movie. The motion picture.
Box.
Okay.
So PJCN presents Box presenting Box the musical, the movie, the musical based on the series, based on the novel, Pushed by Sapphire.
Yes. Yes.
Presented by Lee Daniels.
Can I just say, I'm going into the chat and looking.
That's Tyler Perry production.
I so badly want a sequel to The Guest. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I think Netflix would be the most prime to do it since they always have it streaming, and it seems like every month more people discover it, and I just want more of that movie.
Well, Patrick, I'm sure you're right about that. We're talking about sequels that do exist that we enjoy.
Hey, Sean, go fuck yourself.
Does anyone else have other ones? Because I've got more.
I haven't even gotten to mine. Like, if we're talking, is this essentially what we were talking about earlier? The sequels that are better than the originals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Iron Man 3.
I agree with that, actually. Iron Man 3 is a great choice. One that I actually forgot about
Better
earlier.
than Iron Man 2.
Because I actually posted when Maxwell kind of started this whole meme that basically became a thing today. This is where this all sort of started. But the ones I had that came directly to mind for me were Gremlins 2, which I think is hands and feet better than the original, because I think that it is the fully realized Joe Dante film versus the original. Evil Dead 2, which is apparent by my name, and Return of the Jedi and 22 Jump Street. What are you umming about?
Okay, first off, you just said Return of the Jedi. No.
Go fuck yourself, yes.
I love Return of the Jedi, but it is not better than Star Wars.
It's my list, and you don't get to tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I was going to go in with that opinion, but you're wrong. Second, what was the other?
Well, it was really nice having Sean here today. Oh God, I forgot he has power.
Yeah, come on, I got buttons too.
Sean, I think you're. I don't know if anyone else is hearing it, but I think you're echoing.
No.
That means put your goddamn headphones on. But one that came to mind.
I think it might be something on wavelength then.
But one that I really love that I think that I would like to shout out is The Raid 2. I think The Raid 2 is a movie that expands upon the original in a lot of really great ways and makes it even better. And also in that vein, Super Cop, starring Jackie Chan. It was the third police story movie. People don't really realize that, but it is the third film in that series out of 4. And that movie is so much fun. I think it takes everything in the original police story and turns it up to 11. And Michelle Yeoh is also an excellent co-star in that movie. Because as far as it goes, like, people forget there's a lot of sequels in cinema like that for Hong Kong cinema and Chinese cinema. Another one I could think of, Legend of Drunken Master, also starring Jackie Chan, which was the sequel to Drunken Master, which was one of his very early movies. And Legend of Drunken Master is incredible. If you've never seen it, it has some of the best action sequences ever put on film. No doubt.
PJ, should people be paying close attention to these titles that you're naming?
You know what, Dwayne? I don't know.
Because I put quite a lot of work into something.
Oh, I know you. I don't know, man. I think that there's a good chance that people might want to pay attention to a little bit of Jackie Chan. That's all I'm saying. And actually, Rush Hour 2. Speaking of, I think Rush Hour 2 is actually better than the first one also. So
that's on my list as well.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of sequels out there, man, that are actually as good, if not better, than the originals. Chris Taylor coming in hot with the Waxwork 2. I mean, look, we just watched, well, actually not just watched, but we watched that for Tim Franco's birthday last year.
Yeah, and I love both those movies. I do like the first one more, but I do respect the opinion. They're very different. Like Waxwork is more of like a kind of a cheesy horror film, and then the Waxworks 2 kind of becomes like a weird like time like traveling horror film, but they're both great. They're both fantastic.
Jeremy, who passed away this week? I'm confused.
If we're talking more lighthearted and horror, I would argue that Happy Death Day to You is superior to Happy Death Day.
It's a great choice.
I like both of those movies a lot, but I think Happy Death Day to You is especially clever, and I desperately want a third one because I think there's a lot that they could still do and to be wrapped up, but that movie was awesome.
I also think they're going to cross it over with Freaky. I think
that's quite possible.
Yeah, I think that's a very strong possibility.
This one I definitely agree with. Born Supremacy.
Yeah, I also agree with.
On that note, I think because we're talking about sequels that are better than the original and not necessarily the best movie in the franchise, I think Born Ultimatum is also better than.
I agree.
Born Identity.
I absolutely agree.
My problem with the Bourne movies, oh god damn it! Now I'm hearing an echo.
Mute your monitor mix. Yourself on your monitor mix.
I am muted on my monitor mix. Do you still hear an echo from me?
No.
Echo testing 1 2.
I'm gonna.
You might have to mute your browser on your monitor mix as well.
Jeremy,
I don't have browser monitor.
I'll say that Michelle Yeoh is still very much alive. I mean, she was just in Last Christmas and Crazy Rich Asians and Master Z, which was a spinoff from Ip Man. She's very much still alive and very much still acting. So, unless I'm thinking of someone else.
Does anyone like a Rocky sequel more than the original Rocky? Well, it depends if you count Creed as a sequel or its own franchise.
I count Creed. It's a continuation.
It's a continuation.
I was gonna say I would
sequel.
I mean, if you count Creed as a sequel, then I would say I like Creed more than I like any other
agreed
Rocky film. If you're just talking about just the Rocky movies, I think my favorite out of the entire series is actually Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa is really good.
I agree with that.
I really like Rocky Balboa.
Me too.
So, I mean,
that speech he gives to his son is fucking iconic. Like I can use that speech in almost any walk of life, no matter where you are. When you're down, that speech is fire.
No, for me, it's the talk when he's talking to Paulie, and he's like, "I've still got something.
Yes,
there's something still in there." Like that speech that when he's talking to Paulie it just hits because I know that there's so many of us that have like had a moment where you face like, do you give up or do you keep going? And you're like, no, I can't give up because there's something still there. I still have more to give.
You know, that hits close to home right now.
It does. It hits close to home. I think for a lot of us.
I was going to say, I don't know what that could be about, but.
TMNT 2 is my favorite.
Secret of the Ooze?
Secret of the Ooze.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about that today, and I was like, do I like it more than TMT 1? And I was like,
TMT 1 is good, but like the nostalgia, and I'll admit bias, the nostalgia of it. But even as an adult, because I've recently watched 1, 2, and 3, the original. 2 for me is still like it's lighthearted, but it still has the action. It's goofy fun, and it's so much more quotable. Just that opening scene with like Donatello and them in there, and he's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Walk the dog, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. I was actually talking about TMT today because I was like debating if I would have the same opinion. But I think Team Secret of the Ooze was like the one I liked as a kid and like for probably the majority of my life. But like as I got older, I think the first one has eclipsed it. But I think they're both fantastic. So.
I would like to call out Mike Kalinowski and Chris Clark for saying Die Hard 2 over the original Die Hard.
That's just crazy.
I would actually say the third one.
I mean,
I'm just trying to give Chris shit. That was not actually.
No, but I would actually.
I think the third one is better than the second one, but the first one is untouched.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is the third one as well. Yeah.
I think that's my favorite too. Yeah. Die Hard with a Vengeance, legitimately.
Yeah, it's so funny that one started as a Lethal Weapon sequel, also. Like that, I'm never not going to think about that when I watch it, and I think it makes it that much better. That it was like, look at what they were able to do by taking a script that they didn't end up wanting to use for Lethal Weapon and just like flipping it, and that is fucking awesome.
I saw someone mention it in the chat. I think Bad Boys 2 is superior to Bad Boys, but
I also think Bad Boys for Life is actually the best one in the franchise. That's the hot.
That one's surprisingly really good. Surprisingly very good.
There was just it was better than I expected it to be, but there was just there was still a moment where I was just like, come on. Like it
I know exactly what moment you're talking about, and it's weird that there was 2 Will Smith movies back to back produced by Jerry Bruckheimer that decided to have the exact same moment, and I'm not sure why they decided to do that, but I was just impressed by the heart. If that
and granted, Bad Boys for Life is the better of those 2 movies.
Yes, but yes,
but I just I didn't like that particular plot point, and that kind of knocked it down a peg for me, and that's just. Fair. I think someone said in the chat, Bad Boys 2 is like the perfect example of too much is like a bad thing. But I think that movie is beautifully over the top and completely knows what it is and doesn't try to pretend to be something that it isn't.
Jeremy, I agree with this. Days of Future Past is actually my favorite X-Men film.
I would agree with that too. I think it's probably my favorite X-Men film.
If we're not including Logan,
I'm not including Logan. It's strictly just as an X-Men movie. I think that one is far and away the best because it also gives you the best of both franchises, or periods of franchises, if that makes sense.
I mean, if we're including Logan, then
do
we also include would we also include Deadpool? Because if that's the case, then Deadpool's my
That's my
favorite.
pick.
I mean, you can definitely do that. I mean, I'm not going to say no to that.
Deadpool would be nowhere near my top if we're including it.
If we're,
I'm just
I have
talking
one.
strictly.
I have one. PJ might disagree with. Clerks 2 is better than Clerks.
No, I agree with you. Clerks 2 is my favorite.
I would agree too.
I agree as well.
I love Clerks 2 over Clerks.
And speaking of also Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Jay and Silent Bob reboot is the more I watch it, I didn't believe that in the beginning.
If we're saying only as it serves as a sequel to Strike Back,
yes, I'm only strictly saying to Strike Back.
Then yes, I think it is better than Strike Back. Yes,
I mean, obviously each one of those movies is technically a sequel to the other, but if we're going off of Strike Back, the only reason, and I mean this for one reason, I think the greatest thing that Kevin Smith has ever written exists in reboot, and that is the monologue that Holden gives to Jay at Chronic Con. I think that is the best thing that Kevin Smith has ever written, and Affleck, who he didn't even know he was going to be able to get into the movie until
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it, my friend. The fact that Affleck gives that speech the way he does makes me cry every single time I watch it. And I think that that's such a great thing, like, to really put that kind of heart into a Jay and Silent Bob movie. Not that the Clerks movies aren't Jay and Silent Bob, but, like, when they're the focal point. You know what I'm saying? Versus in Clerks 2, they are side characters to the overall story.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree.
Sorry, I totally overran that.
I'm going through some of the chat here. I also think Blade Runner 2049 is better than Blade Runner.
Yes,
I would probably say the same thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Now, this one is a popular opinion, but
I love this. That's such a great comment.
This
You're
one
not
is
wrong.
a popular opinion that I don't agree with. I actually like Batman Begins better than The Dark
Yeah,
Knight.
Me too.
Yeah, Batman Begins is my favorite of the three. So
Mine too.
Don't get me wrong. I think The Dark Knight is great. I think Heath Ledger's The Joker is like world class, but on the whole, I like Batman Begins more.
I also like Dark Knight Rises quite a lot.
I like Dark Knight Rises better than Dark Knight. Dark Knight is my least favorite film of that franchise.
Really? Wow.
I've come to the same conclusion as two of the people on this panel.
Wait, why though? I'm actually.
I don't know. I just enjoy it more. I
That's
can't tell you.
Interesting, Mike. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, but that is a great take that I will not actually argue with either.
I agree with it.
Yeah, I think I agree with it too.
It's real close. I mean, I clearly have a soft spot for 89. So
fuck.
Yeah,
A soft box.
I mean, I love 89. I saw it in theaters. So it's
what else we got in the chat?
My heart.
All Fast sequels starting with Fast 5 are better than the original. No.
I will say I like 5 and 7 more than the original.
Yeah.
I will say if I had to pick, and this one will probably get me some heat. But if I'm going to take any of those movies and put them over the original, the only one that I enjoy more than the original is Tokyo Drift.
I'm okay with that. And
I love Tokyo Drift.
My two favorites are Fast 5 and Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Tokyo Drift is great.
And there's Easter eggs in Tokyo Drift that like people that like I was very heavy into like drift culture for a while, and like people who don't know anything about drift culture, there's Easter eggs all throughout that movie that they paid so much respect to drift culture. Like the guy who's fishing on the pier.
Yes.
That is the original Drift King. I think I told PJ that when we were watching it.
I was going to say, we watched it
in
together.
Arizona. But that guy is the original Drift King. That's why the joke of him like talking about how shitty Sean is at drifting in that movie, it hits so much heavier because that guy basically invented drifting.
I love that so much. Anton, love the take. The word We're going with underappreciated over underrated off of my tweets from earlier.
Properly rated in your opinion?
We have
Properly rated.
We have decided
I think it's properly appreciated.
I will say, though, we have dropped underrated and overrated from the lexicon of communication here at the PJ Campbell Network.
All I'm going to say is that is a very 45-ish Tam that's in that movie.
I would also say, seeing another comment in the chat, that Toy Story 3 is better than the first one.
I agree, actually. Yeah, that was Kylie.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, if we're talking direct sequels, I would say, I don't know if it's better than the first one, but I would say Skyfall is a really good sequel to Casino Royale.
Do you want to hear the hottest take of all time from Tim and I?
Yes, I would. I love hot takes.
Skyfall is properly ranked as the third best Craig Bond film. They're ranked in order of release.
Yes, really? They are.
You like
Quantum of Solace is in fact a real sequel to Casino. They're best as like one movie. They're basically one movie.
I was going to say that, David, have you watched them now that you can watch all of them in one shot?
I haven't seen them in a while.
If you can, you will appreciate Quantum of Solace so much more. It is
agreed.
It is great.
It's night and day when you can watch them back to back.
I don't agree at all.
That's okay, Maxwell. You don't have to.
I've watched them back to back, and I still think Quantum is one of the worst Bond movies in the history of Bond.
Let me just say this. When On Her Majesty's Secret Service came out, it was maligned and people hated it. And we look at it now as like one of the best Bond movies. I've been saying this for like years. It's going to be the same thing with Quantum of Solace. So I'll just be ahead of the curve, which is nice.
I agree with that take.
I also think that like a lot of people malign Quantum of Solace because they're like, oh, it's not this huge end of the world like scenario that James Bond is stopping. Like it's this small localized.
It's a revenge story.
But but the biggest plot point is
I want to make sure I never hated Quantum of Solace either. I loved it when it came out. I just don't know if I like it better than Skyfall. But I need to like watch it back to back.
Also, Kylie, Quantum has like one of the best Bond cold opens of like all Bond movies.
That I agree with. Also, Kylie, I've been on the overrated, underrated thing for a very, very, very long time. It is a word that I hate very, very much. Maxwell's mad at us for talking about Quantum, I think.
I would agree with you.
No, but I really did. The overrated things have been a thing for me for a long time.
I would also agree with Kylie on that next comment. I love Last Crusade. That's my favorite Indiana Jones film. Like Raiders, it's Last Crusade, Raiders, Temple, and then that's it.
So I want
to hear my hot take?
You like Temple?
I like Kingdom better than Temple.
Ooh, I was talking about this. Oh, he's gone. No,
I got dropped for that.
Real talk. I was talking.
I don't dislike Kingdom, but you're wrong.
I don't dislike Kingdom either. But I was talking about this with Brad Gilmore because I recently watched all four, and I was like, I don't know, man. There's something about the themes and the essence of Temple that just didn't vibe with me this time around. Like,
no, I agree with you. And also the thing about Kingdom, as weird as it might sound, Kingdom went for like a 50s sci-fi B-movie vibe versus the 30s pulp serial vibe, and that's the thing that really throws people off, and that's okay. Like, it's not being the other movies. And don't get me wrong, there are problems with the movie. I'm not going to think and say that it's like a perfect movie by any means. But Kingdom gets a bad rap, and I think like we rewatched it earlier in the year. I actually rewatched it with Smets. Smets did a watch along with him and Kaiser and Frank Janish, and I ended up being like the fourth person on the watch along via text in the chat because I really love the movie. And the more that I rewatch it and the more that I take it all in, the more I enjoy it because I think that the movie knows exactly what it is. It definitely has its problems. There's no denying that. But I think that people also get so caught up in the stuff with the fridge and things like that, where it's like the rest of these movies are as ridiculous as this movie is. But there was 19 years difference between the movies, and you think one thing versus the thing that they're doing. And there's a conversation to be had, in my opinion, of taking movies at the face value of what they are versus the face value of what you want them to be. And that's a very specific conversation that the internet is still not ready to have. Yeah. And you see it a lot where they go, this is not the movie I wanted. It's fine. It's not the movie that you wanted.
But it's the movie you got.
But it's the movie you got. And you have to accept the movie as it is. And that's fine. But at the same time, yeah.
I want to talk about Antoine's.
I don't think we're going to see Shia in anything anytime soon.
Well, not just that. I was going to say one. Now is not the time for that. But going up a little bit more, his comment about the last hour of Quantum of Solace. This is what I was talking about. Quantum of Solace is the most real Bond movie we have ever gotten. That is the most could actually fucking happen in the real world. Yes. Supervillain shit that we have ever gotten in a Bond movie.
I gotta
that was so fucking realistic. It is insane.
I mean, the whole motive of the villain is very realistic and
relevant. It actually happens.
Yeah.
Like you think that the reason, you're paying $200 for internet right now, like that's just swap internet with water and you've got the plot of Quantum of Solace. Like that's how it works. It is so realistic. It's insane.
I'm gonna rewatch those films. Maybe this week. Fuck it. What am I doing?
It's on Netflix, isn't it? Isn't Quantum on Netflix?
Oh, I own it.
Yeah,
I own it.
Yeah, I own
Brandy,
it.
I'll say this. I know you didn't like the first two. Jump ahead to Quantum and Casino and Skyfall and
I would say watch the Craig films.
Yeah, watch the Craig films because they're massively different.
The vibes are. I would say the vibe of every single James Bond is very different. Yeah. So if you don't like if you didn't like Sean Connery, move ahead to the next Bond and see if you like.
Yeah, because Roger Moore's different.
Yeah, Roger Moore. So.
Well, I guess between technically Lazenby has one movie, then Connery comes back, then it's Dalton, and Dalton's the precursor to Craig in a lot of ways. Those movies,
I would agree,
work with the Craig films a lot, and then there's Brosnan.
Talk about underappreciated. Timothy Dalton is underappreciated.
150%. I agree with that.
PJ, that is mathematically impossible, but okay.
I learned everything I know from John Hughes and the Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We got Mike in here saying every Harry Potter movie besides Chamber is ranked higher than Sorcerer's Stone. It's not a bad take, actually.
I mean, I don't know if I would say that, but I would say Azkaban is definitely...
Definitely, for sure.
I mean,
perfect, Chris.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Kylie says Sharknado over, or Sharknado 2 over Sharknado.
I'll take a word for
Moonraker
it.
is not that unbelievable.
I guess that's fair. Winter Soldier is Mike's favorite sequel in the MCU. Endgame is my favorite Avengers movie. Similarly,
yeah, so. that's where it's hard to with the MCU with the way they ended up with like Civil War being Avengers, 2.5. So it's so it was do you count that as an Avengers sequel or do you count that as a Captain America sequel?
I don't know. Civil War is hard, but
so I have one that is kind of, or I have two. I'm gonna bring the first one up. It is a sequel, but most people do not think of it as a sequel.
Okay.
And that's Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, that's a great call.
Actually. I think Silence of the Lambs is better than Manhunter.
I don't disagree with that. That's a good call.
Yep.
So, anyone who didn't know that technically Silence of the Lambs is a sequel, it is a sequel.
Yeah, because Manhunter came first and is the original version of Red Dragon. Like most people don't realize, Red Dragon is actually a remake.
Yep. So I think that is a far superior sequel to the original. Not that I don't like Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter. I just think that the movie overall is better.
I love this, Anton. He said, "I'm forever disappointed that we never got a Sharknado sequel inexplicably set in Canada called Sharknado Great White North."
It's because the water is too cold.
Could you imagine a frozen Sharknado?
Oh, but they can float in tornadoes?
I mean, there actually is evidence of fish and frogs being like thrown inland because of like hurricanes and tornadoes. So, I mean,
License to Kill is good.
Yeah, License to Kill is real good. This is a weird one, but I don't know if Dwayne brought it up. I actually prefer the Chronicles of Riddick to Pitch Black.
Oh, I do too. That film's fucking fantastic.
No, 100%. I love the Chronicles of Riddick is one of my favorite movies. Like
that's why I wanted to shout it out. Yeah, no, I know, I do too, and I think it's actually better than the first one in so many ways.
There is so much greatness in that movie.
Yes, my friend.
With Carl Urban, Tandy Newton, Dame Judi Dench. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Colm Fjord. Like, it's so like the movie is so dope, and the lore that it builds with the Furians and everything. Like, it is one of the most interesting. I would say science fantasy movies, because I would not call that science fiction.
It's like Pitch Black really isn't. Pitch Black, yes, it's a sci-fi film, but it's a little bit more like
it's a sci-fi
alien
horror more than
Chronicles
it's like way more horror.
Like, it's so strange. Chronicles of Riddick really isn't a horror film.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's 100% an action. And then they tried to like blend the two in Riddick and create like almost this like science fantasy horror like thing, and like Riddick is kind of like, I'm not really sure what we were supposed to get out of that, because it was basically just a remake of Pitch Black.
The director's cut is better because it has some of the stuff held over from Chronicles, but like that was a miscalculation on Universal's part to edit the movie down as much as they did, which is exactly what they did to Riddick. It was the second time in a row that they did that, where they edited the movie down and cut out a bunch of like the very essential plot elements of that movie. Maxwell, welcome back.
Hello.
What about you, man? We've been going on a little bit. What are some of your favorite sequels?
Step Up 3D.
Okay.
Love the choice. Legitimately, I love that choice. I agree.
I'm with it.
It's my favorite of the Step Ups. I think it has the best dance numbers, best choreography. It's the most fun, and some of the most fun use of 3D I've seen. It intentionally used it as a gimmick, and that's mostly how I like my 3D. Otherwise, I don't think it necessarily brings much to film, barring minor exceptions like, say, Hugo. Toy Story.
The bubble scene in that movie is amazing in 3D. Just for everyone who's never seen it, I saw it in 3D.
I did too.
In theater, because I think we might have talked about this.
Was that John Chu, real quick? Just so
yes,
that was John.
Yes, it was.
The crew at the end, the Waver Poplock guy that like is in the front of that crew. I actually know him, and he was in a crew with. So that movie came out like shortly after I got back from Afghanistan, and one of the guys that I was in Afghanistan with was in a crew with that guy, and that's how I met him.
Oh, cool.
And we both went to go see it because we were like, hey, we know that guy.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, I like the Step Up movies, but the third one.
Oh, I like him too. I love him.
I think is the best. Toy Story 2. Although an argument can certainly be made for the third one also. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I was gonna say War, but I think everything after
they're both War, maybe a bit more, but it has all the build up from the first and especially the second one.
Real quick, Mike. I don't disagree with this take at all from Rachel, actually, because I think Grease 2 has the better message out of the two movies also.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't Grease 2 a little bit less problematic? Than,
yes, it's a lot less problematic.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
I was just about to say that.
That one. I was going to mention
Hellboy 2. Way better,
and the real shame is that came out the same summer as Iron Man and The Dark Knight, and it just got overshadowed, but I think it's one of the most gorgeous and inventive superhero sequels we've ever gotten. And
agreed.
I'm so sad we didn't get a third one from Del Toro. This is one we watched on the channel, Addams Family Values.
Okay. Which I think Brandy actually said earlier in the chat.
Did she?
Yeah.
The Hunger Games Catching Fire. is
Yes.
absolutely better than the first one and the best of the series, I think.
Oh.
What do you have a question about, Sean?
The second Maze Runner.
I agree, actually. Yeah, I like the second one a lot.
Sports Trials, right?
Yeah.
That the mall sequence alone for me is that was
I don't know. That one's hard because I really liked the first movie.
I really like all three of them, and I'm not sure if I could pick which one is my favorite. I think they all really do what they need to do well, and that's why I think it's one of the strongest like YA adaptation franchises that doesn't get talked about enough. Wes Ball is a hell of an action director. Yes. Some of the action in the Death Cure, that third one, is stunning.
I think the second one too, that chase sequence through the mall is such a great horror-esque action scene that reminds me a little bit of something that Danny Boyle would have done in, say, like 28 days or 28 weeks. And it's I'm really glad, like you brought up Apes. He's doing the next Apes film, which I'm super excited for. But I really want to see him do a Star Wars movie, but I want to see him do a Star Wars horror film. Because I would love to see what he could do in the galaxy far, far away, but like with a horror.
Well, I think in the Maze Runners, he had a good knack for that sort of suspenseful horror sequences. I mean, in the Maze, but even in the Scorch Trials, there's basically a zombie movie.
No, 100%. I'm really glad that we got to talk a little bit about Wes Ball. I think that he's an upcoming filmmaker that people need to pay attention to.
You know, and what I think is so solid about the Maze Runner trilogy is it is one trilogy. They didn't split any of the books. It actually got to end. I mean, there's pretty much no other YA adaptation of the recent time when it was popular that either didn't split the final book or got to finish. You know, Divergent, although they weren't very good, didn't get to finish. Twilight split the end. Maze Runner split the end. Harry Potter split the end, although that's one I think was probably the right choice in the long run out of all of them.
I will say though for Twilight, at least they split it in the right spot.
Yeah,
at least they split it in the right spot.
I have a soft spot for the Twilight movies, and if we're talking Twilight, I think Eclipse is the best of the Twilight movies.
Yep.
Because I also think David Slade was the best director for that material. On the sillier side, I would maybe say Father of the Bride Part 2.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that.
Where they're both pregnant at the same time. I love those movies, but that one I think is particularly delightful.
Speaking of comedy sequels,
I was gonna say I've got a comedy that I think might be like this might get me some heat too.
Go for it.
I think Friday After Next is the best.
Honestly,
I don't hate that. Yeah,
I would honestly agree. Friday's the classic for Friday After Next is so hilarious. It's rewatchable, hilarious.
Friday is great, but Friday After Next is just so funny. Like it is so funny for me.
Speaking of sequels, two that come to mind for me.
No more locked doors.
Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, which I think is actually better than the first one by a little bit. They're both great, don't get me wrong. But I really love those movies. But that one in particular has always stood out. But also is Scary Movie 3. I think Scary Movie 3 is actually better than the original.
I think is Scary Movie 2 the one where they're in the house with?
Scary Movie 2 is the one in the house.
Okay, I think Scary Movie 2 and Scary Movie 3 are both better than the original.
Scary Movie 3.
I like 2 more. Yeah.
Scary Movie 3 makes me laugh every single time I watch it. The Signs and 8 Mile mashup that movie offers is so ridiculous, and it makes me happy every single time. My favorite part, is the part when he's like, the dogs are acting weird, and the camera pans over, and the dogs are doing like farm work. One of them's up on a tractor, and like another one is like out mowing the grass, and you're like, what is happening? And oh god, every time. And Kevin Hart's in that movie actually. Kevin Hart.
Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yes,
that's a good one. I would agree.
Sure.
Let's see. Gosh.
Ooh, this is interesting, and we'll get to this. This is a great question though. But Mike asked best spiritual sequel.
That one is more difficult.
I have one that I was going to mention in my sequels, but it kind of fits into that, so I can mention it. And I know, and so it would be The Endless, which I talked about earlier. But a movie by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead is a spiritual sequel, takes place in the same world as an earlier film they did called Resolution. You don't really have to watch Resolution first at all, but I think if I going back, I would prefer to watch Resolution first, but you don't have to. But
spiritual sequels. So Everybody Wants Some.
Yep, that was
is one of my favorites, even though that lead actor is shown to be rather problematic.
Yeah.
I think an argument can be made for Casino as a spiritual sequel to Goodfellas.
Yep. I would agree.
I have one that is, in my opinion, is a spiritual sequel to the Sean Connery James Bond movies, and that is The Rock by Michael Bay. To me, that movie is clearly picking up with Sean Connery's Bond years after he was disavowed by MI6. And I think that there's something to be said about this idea that he has been like thrown under the bus and then they bring him back out after he's been arrested and he doesn't really know what to do with his time. And it is so clearly a sequel to his Bond movies in so many ways that it makes me smile, and I love it.
I have 2 regular sequels.
I want to hear
so Godzilla King of the Monsters, better than Godzilla 2014, in my opinion.
I'd probably agree. I'd probably agree.
I don't necessarily agree, but I like it.
Handles big, giant, scary monsters better. And I thought someone else was going to bring this up, so I didn't, but Tron Legacy is better than Tron. Part of that's just age of Tron. Like, Tron has not aged well at all. Tron Legacy, in my opinion, is like a near perfect movie. I fucking love that movie. I really want to rewatch it.
100% agree with you. I think the thing with Tron Legacy presents the themes and the content of Tron just better. It just presents it better. Like, and people laugh about it, but like my favorite line in the movie is biodigital jazz, man. Like that encompasses the spirit of what the movie is, and like the philosophical questions that it's trying to like push forward and bring to the forefront. And it's like, I think Tron just presents it better.
I agree with that 100%. No argument from me. Because I think Tron Legacy, and actually to Maxwell's point, movies that use 3D correctly, Tron Legacy also used it correctly. Because if you saw it in IMAX, one of the things that I loved is that in IMAX, when it starts, it's 2D and like the normal aspect ratio that you normally watch a movie. It's not until he gets to the grid that the movie goes to a full IMAX aspect ratio and turns 3D. I thought it was one of the most brilliant uses of 3D in any movie, to be like, the movie is only 3D when it's in the grid and in the full IMAX ratio, and then it would go back to normal aspect ratio when it was in the real world. And that, I always thought that was brilliant, and I can't say enough good things about Tron Legacy. I think Tron Legacy is actually the original Mad Max Fury Road in a lot of ways. A lot of the stuff that I think Fury Road does very well in telling its story through its soundtrack and score, and the like lack of dialogue, and through the action and the character beats, is all exactly the same in Tron Legacy in a lot of ways. And I think that the fact that that movie gets so much flack when Fury Road gets a pass is very interesting to me, because I think that they're very, very similar in a lot of ways. So if you haven't seen Legacy in a while, go into it and watch it in the same way that you like Fury Road. The score moves it. The character actions move it. It's not the acting, it's not the dialogue, it's everything else. Go ahead, Sean.
Instead of telling everyone to go watch it, why don't they watch it with us on a PJ Campbell Network watch along?
I mean, I'm down.
Okay, cool.
I'm also down. I've literally watched that movie in the past like 2 months. I think I've watched it 4 times.
I mean, I'm always down to watch that movie. I don't know about it, like, obviously you guys are too. Maxwell, what about you?
Tron Legacy?
Yeah, you down to watch it on the channel?
I'd watch it right now.
Let's let's do
cool.
it. Not right now. So we're gonna do it on the.
Pull it up. Can I plus?
Can I
play?
Yeah.
3, 2.
Yeah, this is a good one for spiritual sequels. You've Got Mail to Sleepless in Seattle.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up a few like that came to mind just like right now before I forget.
Yeah, go for it, my friend.
I recently watched all the Dirty Harry films like a month ago or so. So I would actually put Magnum Force better than Dirty Harry myself.
Interesting.
I just had a lot of fun rewatching that movie, and I don't know, I just liked it better.
I love this answer. Anton said he'll take off work to watch Tron Legacy with us as a watch.
Like the movie is it's untouchable. Like
I agree.
I will not tolerate any slander. But
Dwayne, fist bump me right now, Dwayne.
But you know,
Goddamn
we
right.
can't
Yes.
tell Jake Berlin we're doing a Tron Legacy watch along because he will freak out.
Why can't
we will have too many
Jake
people
just
on
be
this
on?
fucking- Because we'll have too many
interrupted
people on
him.
this watch
Tim,
along.
please continue.
No, a couple horror ones that are not like super like popular. I would say Ghoulies 2 over Ghoulies 1. I just think it's a lot funner. Takes place in a carnival. It's just, I think it captures like that whole property a little more, which is like very whimsical and kind of goofy. And then I would also say Child's Play 2 over Child's Play 1. I love the climax in the Good Guy Factory.
I agree.
And then I would also say slightly, I would say The Devil's Rejects over House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, I agree.
That I agree with. That I absolutely agree with.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'll run down like I've got a few more on my list that
Dwayne,
I
go
don't
for
really
it.
need to be talked about too much, but because they're obvious. The Two Towers over the Fellowship. I think Fallout is far superior to the first Mission Impossible. I think as much as I think it is one of the best superhero, it might be my favorite superhero film ever made. But I think Split is better than Unbreakable. Just James McAvoy in that movie,
terrifying.
Like the fact that he did not win, and like what he
Not
was
even
obviously
nominated.
like he was the best actor of the year that year. Like who else was doing what he did in that movie? Nobody.
I would agree.
That's all I have to say about it. And then 10 Cloverfield Lane is another one that I think is better, which I love. I love Cloverfield. I'm not a huge big monster horror movie type fan. I'm not. And I'm not even a found footage fan either. But Cloverfield, I remember seeing that movie in theaters and I was amazed. Else. And 10 Cloverfield Lane was even better.
I love those choices.
Underworld Evolution, I think is better than the first Underworld.
Oh,
but
interesting. Oh, actually, to your point, then I think that
I'm actually planning a full Underworld series watch along soon. I have the full set on Blu-ray. I just got to unpack my
rewatch or watch along.
Rewatch. Well, I'm going to watch it along with myself.
I watched them during October, and I would agree with Dwayne. I think Evolution.
So, can I take a real quick detour?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
So, for those who've been watching the channel for a long time, you know that we have a special place in our heart for Mr. Donald Pleasance.
Yes, sir.
In particular, the film Prince of Darkness. This film comes out on 4K next week.
Yeah, it does, baby. That does. I'm so excited. They Live is also coming out the same day.
In a collector's edition, so I just thought it would be appropriate to mention this.
And also by Shout Factory.
About the devil in liquid form. Check it out.
I also think, real quick, I don't know if this counts because it's technically a prequel, but I actually think Rise of the Lycans is my favorite of the Underworld movies.
That's completely. I love the first one. Mm-hmm. I think that the story. But I think my favorite thing about the first one is the story behind the production and who wrote it, and how awesome it was to for anyone who doesn't know, the first film was written by Kevin Grivois, who is the gigantic black werewolf.
Black man, yeah. Who is such an imposing figure. I remember when I saw it and I was like, oh shit, that dude wrote it. That's awesome.
And for everyone who doesn't know, he is also a microbiologist. The dude is smart as fuck.
He's like Dolph Lundgren too, because Dolph Lundgren's similar.
That's why it has the theme of the genetic mutation being caused by a virus. That's where that came from, is his history as a microbiologist. So that big imposing black dude is smart as shit. He's also written several comics, and it's like, I think it's so awesome to get to see people of color represented in that space, particularly like in a genre where normally, we're the first to die.
Yeah, and they didn't do that in those movies, which is one of the things I like so much about
I think
them.
that is so awesome. But that's why the first one has such a I've got such a soft spot in my heart for it.
Yeah.
But I do think Evolution is better because it expands so much more.
I like looking at Scott Speedman and Kate Beckinsale.
That's fair.
That
I also
too.
want to shout out Len Wiseman as a filmmaker. Like, he gets shit on a lot, but hey, what's up, Brienne?
What's up, Brienne?
We miss you. I hope you're doing well. We need to get you over here eventually.
Yeah,
actually.
we should get Brienne on something.
Absolutely.
I really like Len Wiseman, though, real quick, as a filmmaker. Speaking of Underworld, Live Free or Die Hard gets a lot of flack. I think that is the best sequel in the franchise for a lot of reasons. It's very close between it and Die Hard 3. Really, you could flip a coin depending on the day, but I think Len Wiseman gets a lot of shit for Live Free, and the fact that movie is as good as it is, considering how the studio interfered all the way through production, is remarkable, and I think it's the one that closest to the first understands the DNA of the series.
I agree with you because that's the only one I've seen.
I agree that it gets flack it doesn't deserve, and it's a really fun action movie. I still prefer Vengeance.
Totally.
Although,
like I said, it kind of depends on the day. Flip a coin.
My sweet man Timothy Oliphant is a great villain,
and Justin Long is great in the movie. Sean, you raised your hand.
I was clapping, but I have a good spiritual. I have a good spiritual successor.
What's yours?
Is fuck, I forgot the name of the movie. Palm Springs.
Okay.
Palm Springs to Groundhog Day.
I like where your head's at, sir.
Oh. Yeah.
Brienne, you can play your comedy guitar bits anytime on this channel. I want you to know that there is always a time and a place for your guitar bits here on the Pajukin.
I've got a good spiritual sequel one that I was thinking about, and it might be one of my favorite. It might be my favorite Will Smith performance, and that's Enemy of the State and The Conversation.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
I just rewatched Enemy of the State. It would be so good.
Yeah.
Enemy of the State is great.
It's 100% a sequel in the same way. I love what you're. I love where you're at.
Gene Hackman's in both of them.
Yeah, I think Enemy of the State is the movie where we found out Will Smith can really fucking act.
Yes.
Like he is so good in that movie. It is insane.
He is.
And I agree with this also, Anton. If the R-rated cut of Live Free had been released in theaters, people would have been way less upset. And it's so funny because, Dwayne, I think that your comparison of Enemy of the State with The Conversation goes hand in hand with what I was saying with The Rock also. Like The Rock to the Bond movies, very similar trajectory of The Rock clearly being a sequel to the Sean Connery one. So I think that's an excellent choice. One that I think of, and maybe it's just me in my head, but I've always thought High Fidelity is the most interesting Ferris Bueller's Day Off sequel that you could have ever imagined, because Cusack was up for the role originally of Ferris Bueller, and the character is very similar in a lot of ways, but it kind of feels like what would have happened if Ferris had become like disillusioned and kind of cynical. And
I think Ferris Bueller is already kind of disillusioned and cynical.
What if Ferris was emo?
Yes, essentially. So that's one. Every time I've watched it.
What if Ferris was Cameron?
Basically, yeah. It's what would have happened if Ferris was Cameron. There's a lot to be said about that. I think that is kind of interesting.
I just thought of another one, and surprisingly, it also stars. It stars to the stars of the movie are the same, and was also written by the same people, but are same person. Swingers and Maid. I don't know if you guys have seen Maid, but
I have.
It's essentially the exact same movie, but one is struggling actors and one is two guys in the mafia.
Yeah.
And it's Vince Vaughn, Jon Favreau wrote it. They're almost the exact same movie.
100%. I love where your head's at.
I mean, technically, like Hot Fuzz and The World's End are spiritual sequels to Shaun of the Dead.
Yep, and I think The World's End is actually like remarkably good because Edgar has grown as a filmmaker by the time he gets to that point.
Is there a Resident Evil movie that is better than the first one?
Resident Evil 3, which is directed by Russell McCullough, who did Highlander. Oh, that's right.
Those all blend together. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Does Monster Hunter count?
Absolutely.
Have you seen that?
Also, I have to say,
just by seeing what I've seen so far, it looks like it's just a Resident Evil movie, but with different bad guys.
I didn't want this to get lost in the chat real quick. What's your favorite movie recommended by a friend? I just want to make sure that we don't miss this before.
Yeah, I've been trying to think. To be honest.
I was just gonna say this. It's not a spiritual sequel, but it's probably a sequel that never gets talked about. Once Upon a Time in Mexico, a sequel to Desperado.
Ooh, and then to your point, Desperado to El Mariachi.
Yeah. So
both of them.
I personally like Once Upon a Time in Mexico a little bit more than like.
I think that one might be my favorite movie.
I don't disagree because the church sequence alone, that church sequence is fucking incredible, and the music in that sequence is amazing.
Also, they talk about Puerco Pibe a lot, and I like that. So,
say what you will about him, Johnny Depp is great in that movie.
Well, and do you guys know? I'm sure that a couple of you have heard this, but the reason he's in the church sequence, if you don't know, is he's playing a different character. And the reason he's there is because he had finished filming all of his scenes and he didn't want to leave. He was having too much fun on the set. And Rodriguez was like, well, we have a scene coming up and I need an actor to play the priest. Do you want to play the priest? And Depp said yes. So they gave him the funny beard and everything. And that's how he ended up in that sequence, was because strictly he just didn't want to leave. Which I think is amazing. And then he was also supposed to be in the third Sin City that never happened. He was supposed to be the lead of that movie. But we obviously saw what happened with the Sin Cities.
I never bothered to watch the second one. I was just like, eh.
It's actually not terrible. It's not as good as the first, obviously, but there's a lot of really great stories in it.
I mean, it's hard when the first is like
so mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, like it just makes such an impact. It's like when they tried to do the 300 midquel, I guess you could call it. Like it's like that movie was.
Thank you.
The movie was rough. The movie was rough.
All right, so favorite movies recommended by a friend. I have two, and they're two movies that I love. The first one of my high school friends recommended. I watched Lord of War, which is one of my top 10 films of all time. I never would have thought, hey, I'll watch this random ass Nick Cage movie. The second was recommended by, I don't know if not a close friend, but not really someone I talked to at all. It wasn't you, Max, but it was Not Suitable for Children, and it was fucking hilarious.
I know exactly who recommended that to you.
Yeah. But yeah, Not Suitable for Children is a funny as fuck Australian film. It is on Amazon. You have to rent it, but it's totally worth the rent. It's funny as hell.
I think Return to Oz is just a straight up sequel to Wizard of Oz.
I would call that just a straight up sequel.
Yeah, and it's scary as hell.
It's on Disney Plus. Well, it was. I don't know if it's.
It has some really freaky imagery in that movie.
Yeah, it
gives me nightmares.
That's the one with Farina Balk, right?
Yeah, she's Dorothy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so many movies I watched over the years were recommended by friends.
Yeah, like something out of the ordinary. Like something. I guess it's easier for me because like I don't watch a whole lot of film, so like
I had a friend
tell you, hey, I know this that's recommended. You know what I mean?
I've got one. It's one of my favorite movies. It's not the one that probably immediately came into Max's mind. Because no one recommended Repo the Genetic Opera to me. I just found that DVD and thought it looked cool and watched it. That's the movie I recommend to everyone.
and it began a sordid love affair that'll be written about for decades.
It is. It's I love that movie to no end. But Equilibrium.
Oh yeah.
Movie that I absolutely love.
I was about to mention that movie because it's
and the movie is absolutely ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. No one knows Christian Bale.
I saw it in theaters.
Sean, I forget his name.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Sean Bean.
Yeah, Sean Bean in it. And it's so good.
Died once again.
He died.
Yeah,
William
Tay-Tay.
William Fichtner.
Wasn't that the same year as Matrix 2?
Yes, I think around the same time. That's like
I think Equilibrium was 2002 and the Matrix sequels were 2003.
Let's ask.
Yeah. But it was like, part of what, like, I mean, the movie also hit me at the right time because I had like just read.
What did I do?
Fahrenheit 451, and it's basically just like an adaptation of Fahrenheit 451. The movie is amazing.
God damn it, Sean.
Another movie that was recommended to me that I absolutely love, and I think it's one that I've talked about on the channel before. And it's a foreign film, Ong Bak. If you love martial arts and action movies, if you like The Raid, Ong Bak is the movie for you, because Tony Jaa is probably like how this man is not an international action star. Well, I know why he isn't, but like why he isn't talked about on the same level as Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Chow Yun Fat, Jackie Chan. Like Tony Jaa is amazing, and the things that he does when you watch his movies, understand he does everything with no wires.
Yep.
Like no CGI. It is him actually doing what you are seeing on screen.
Speaking of Tony Jaa, can I say a sequel that I prefer to the original? And this is so random, and no
Expendables 3?
No, well, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Right? I'm Expendables too, but
the one I'm thinking of is XXX, The Return of Xander Cage, which I prefer to the original. And Donnie Yen and Tony Jaa are excellent in that movie, and I'm not joking when I say that.
I like what is it? State of the Union. I like that more than the original too.
That movie's ridiculous fun. So
I also just thought of another sequel that's better than the original. Is Shanghai Nights.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's funny that the Jackie Chan sequels in America were both better than their original versions because they finally used him correctly in both, in my opinion.
That singing in the rain sequence in the marketplace in Shanghai Nights is brilliant. It's like pure Buster Keaton.
No, the only reason I think of this movie, technically it was a TV show, but that I would like to get a series of a film, and the only reason I follow my thought here, I went from Shanghai Nights to Shanghai Noon to this movie, and that's Wild Wild West. I would love to get that as a series on TV.
I mean, I would love it. It started as a series too, so why not? I know, like, take it back. Yeah.
Technically, we already have that, but like Wild Wild West, like I would love to get that as a TV show.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Actually, have Will produce it too. It'd be hilarious.
Two things that came to mind real quick. To answer the question about a recommended movie, my friend who I mentioned earlier was the bass player in the Psychobilly Band, recommended Ginger Snaps to me way back in the day, and that's a really good werewolf movie if you haven't seen it. And then another movie I thought of that I think is a spiritual sequel that I enjoy more than the original is The Return of the Living Dead, which was
that's a great choice.
Which is basically kind of like a sequel to The Living Dead, the Night of the Living Dead, because they kind of like reference it. But I mean, I'm a punk rock guy, and that's a punk rock zombie movie, and that movie's great. I love it so much.
I love, by the way, that Bedora brought up that I told her to watch the director's cut of The Frighteners and that it's perfect. And I could not agree with you more. That's one of the movies that I recommend to people all the time. I think
Frighteners is so good with my sister, right?
Yes.
I knew I loved
so good.
I know I love Bedore because Amadeus is in my top 10 of all time.
It is. If you want to know what our top 10s of all time are, we did an entire 3-hour episode about all of our.
It was over 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
Another one that movie that I really like that was suggested to me, and it will make you very, very, very uncomfortable. And that's Hard Candy.
Does she really?
That's another one.
We might have to do.
I really like that movie, but it was suggested to me by one of my best friends, and it will make you so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever it's not something I want to rewatch, but it's really good.
No, I don't ever want to rewatch it, but it is a great movie, and it was suggested to me by my friend, and I will probably never ever watch it ever again.
Yeah. It's a movie with Patrick Wilson and Elliot Page.
Elliot Page, yeah.
And
it is very
hard for me to watch.
Yeah, it's very hard to watch.
Let's see, it just deals with like sexual predators and yeah.
Yep.
I would actually love this, Chris. If they turned The Frighteners into a TV show, I would be super down. That goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. A continuation of that world would be fantastic. And if you've never seen The Frighteners, I can't recommend it enough. I've brought it up a bunch of times on here. It was Michael J. Fox's last major leading performance in live action before he retired to do voice acting because of the Parkinson's. And now, as we've learned from his new book, he is permanently retired again from acting because his Parkinson's is at the point that he just can't act and deal with the disease at the same time, which it's brave for him. It sucks for me because he's my favorite actor of all time, and I always loved when he would pop into stuff in a guest starring role. But more power to him because him facing the disease head on and deciding that was more important to face versus acting, that's a great thing. So, to the Fox family. Bador says, Maxwell, you need to recommend her a movie.
Okay. Like now, live?
Yeah, live. Go for it.
Yeah, right now, live.
The Talented Mr. Ripley.
And everyone in the chat who hasn't seen that has to go watch it.
I think that's a great rule, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's your homework.
Velvet Goldmine.
It's a good choice. I like where your head's at. Mine will be Zodiac for the chat. If you've never seen Zodiac, please seek out Zodiac. That is one of my all-time favorite films.
Great
spoiler
movie.
alert, it is in my top 10 of all time, and I think that it's Fincher's magnum opus.
Spoiler alert, it's about the Zodiac Killer. So lots of Ted Cruz in there.
Since Dwayne was talking about hard-to-watch movies or chilling movies, I'm going to recommend The Kill List.
By Ben Wheatley.
Yeah, if you want to fuck up an evening, watch that movie. But it's good.
Bye, Brienne.
Bye,
Bye, Brienne.
I have a question for us. Because I think we're kind of on the topic of it. Like, what are some movies you think are great, but you watched once, but you'll probably never watch again? But you're like, it's a great film. So I have several that I keep thinking of.
Hold on. What's the movie called? I'm forgetting the name of it.
Which one was it, Steven, that you were too creeped out in?
Probably Hard Candy.
Oh, Hard Candy. That makes sense.
Hard Candy?
Yeah.
There's one.
I think Dunkirk fits that perfectly for me. Because I think Dunkirk is a beautiful film as far as the aesthetics of it. I think that the story is told in a very interesting way. I think it's going to lose I think for anyone who's watching it for the first time, it takes a little bit for you to understand how the story is being told. And also, I think one of the chief complaints when the movie came out is you never get attached to the characters. And I think that was done entirely on purpose because, I mean, granted, as the only person who's ever been in that type of situation, that's exactly what war is like.
Sure.
So, the whole
I totally get
the story. It's like, I love Dunkirk. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I?
And granted, it's so long that I don't think I'll ever watch it again. But I do think that it is worth a watch. I don't think it's one of those movies you're like, hey, I need a comfort film. What's something I can just throw on in the background and you throw on Dunkirk? Like, I don't think that's it.
My pick was Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, yours is the same as Anton's.
Train Spotting.
Interest. Well, actually, you know what? I don't disagree with that, but I think Train Spotting 2 is actually incredibly rewatchable. My hot take, and I actually didn't get to bring this up, I think T2 Train Spotting is better than the original.
Ooh,
I haven't seen it.
Fruitvale Station.
Ooh, Dixon Cider coming in, Boogie Nights. That's a great choice, Dixon. I like where your head's at.
What a name.
Dixon Cider. I was going to say, and I honestly think this movie is remarkable, and I bought the book to read the novel it was based on, 12 Years a Slave.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I've read the.
I honestly think that performance and the realness of it all, I think it's great. I think it's one of those films that a lot of us should watch, but I can't watch it again. It's a heavy watch for sure.
I actually haven't even seen it. I
was gonna say I haven't seen it either. For completely different, I have no desire to watch that movie, and a lot of the movies that are like that, I just have no desire to watch.
That movie's a heavy watch, but
another one that's similar to that, Detroit, is like. I remember when I watched Detroit, when I got to the end of the movie, I didn't realize it, but I was holding my breath, and I did not even realize it.
That's a great choice.
Because that movie is so uncomfortable. It like you feel it. You feel how you feel just the uncomfort while you're watching it, and you're just like you want to scream at the screen, and you just know that it won't do anything and won't change anything.
I think that some of the best kind of cinema is exactly that too, where it just pushes you to a limit where you're not ready for it, and you can just feel yourself holding your breath or like holding the chair, for different reasons, obviously, because it can push you through an emotional toll like that. Like this is so different to the conversation, but similarly, like I remember the first time I saw Ghost Protocol, and I saw it in IMAX, and the sequences in Dubai, I was holding onto the chair so hard just watching, because cinema can take you to that place. So it's a different experience, but realizing that your hands are sore just from holding onto a chair because you couldn't, it just had that visceral feeling. So it's just a weird thing for me.
Another movie that came to mind too, Irreversible. Has anyone heard of that one with Monica Bellucci?
Yeah.
That one's a really hard watch too. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
But because it's so weird, because it's like, do I say it's a good movie? Because it's not a pleasant watch at all, but it definitely challenges you as a viewer.
One that comes to mind for me is Hunger, starring Michael Fassbender.
That's another one too. That one's really great performances, but it's a hard watch.
Yeah, like I owned it at one point, and I rewatched it, and then I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch this again. Like, those were enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, that performance is excellent, and I know the movie, and I'm never gonna watch it again.
Another movie that he did too. That's McQueen, right?
Yeah.
As well. Yep. Another one like that too for me is Shame.
Yeah, 100%. Also Fassbender. Also
great performance by Michael. Hard watch.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Two more that I thought of. There's a French film from 1988 called The Vanishing, which is very, very dark and chilling. And then Gus Van Zant's Elephant, which is basically like kind of like the Columbine shooting in a fictionalized version. But that movie's it's good, but it's hard kind of subject matter.
It's interesting to me that Van Zant has done that a couple of times, because he also did.
Because he had the movie about Kurt Cobain,
The Last Days.
Last Days, yeah.
Yeah, that was clearly about Kurt Cobain, but not actually about Kurt Cobain, even though the actor is made to look exactly like Kurt Cobain, and he ends his life just like Kurt Cobain. And that's another one. That movie's good. I'm never going to watch it again.
We still don't know how Kurt Cobain actually ended his life, okay?
Well, we know how he did it.
I've seen the documentaries.
I don't think it's debated that a shotgun went off by his head.
This is a good one.
How isn't debated?
8mm is great.
That's another one. Yeah, I would agree.
I just rewatched 8mm, but yeah, that movie's dark, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, Gibson is a very problematic person, but I don't disagree honestly about I think it's a well-made movie. I'm never gonna watch it again.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to talk about. I've never actually I've never actually watched the entire thing. You know what? I'm just not even gonna bring this movie up because it's like such a fucking hold on. Let me just.
I'm so confused. I'm wondering what
I'm gonna put it in the private chat and
okay.
That's fair.
Let's see. Oh, I mean, look, I think I see what you're saying.
Because I've seen parts of it.
Yeah.
I was shown it without my consent, and it was incredibly disturbing. And I will never actually watch it in its entirety.
It's yeah. I actually applaud you not bringing up the name.
Yeah. because that it should. I don't think it should ever be highlighted or shown, or because the movie is so disgusting.
Bagel Boy Cobain is still alive. He moved to Argentina.
Yeah, he's neighbors with Tupac
and Elvis.
No, Elvis died of old age now.
Well, and also Tupac died after he heard Ben Goddard rap on SEN.
Like I've said multiple times, that was Ben Goddard's audition for Malibu's Most Wanted 2, More Wanted.
Because we know that Jamie Kennedy is definitely not coming back. Does anyone else have any movies that you only watch once that you'll probably never watch again?
Marley and Me.
I mean,
that's a fair choice.
Walk to Remember.
I actually really enjoy that movie.
No, I do too. It makes me blubber like a baby. That's why I can't watch it every time. I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm over crying. That's actually legit. It's actually a really good film.
I'm trying to think of some that are like I don't want to like enrage people, but like Wonder Woman 1984. I'm probably never gonna watch it ever again. Like I honestly, I have no desire to watch it ever again.
I guess I will probably watch it again eventually, but I guess maybe I might throw Joker in there right now.
Yeah,
Joker might be in there for me too.
I don't really.
Which what brings me to this is a controversial opinion here. Sequels I liked better than the original. Birds of Prey, if you consider it a sequel to Suicide Squad, which I do.
I think that's totally fair, actually.
That's fair.
And Wonder Woman 1984. Good night, everybody.
Sean, you're fine. Just because I don't like it. Yeah, I'm not. I totally understand why people like it. I don't. There was one that The Phantom Thread. That's one that I watched and I will never watch it again.
I liked it. I'll probably never watch it again either.
I love that.
It's like the movie's good, but yeah, I don't need to watch this ever again.
I've seen it like 7 times.
Yeah, I love that movie. Like Maxwell, I've seen it a handful of times.
Oh,
I like that movie. Similarly, though, like Taxi Driver, I don't think I'm ever gonna rewatch Taxi Driver. Like I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna go back to it, especially now. Like especially in the world we live in now, going back to Taxi Driver feels a little weird.
We don't have taxis anymore. Maybe that's the plot of Taxi Driver.
That's
not the plot. The spiritual sequel is Uber Driver. Sean.
Uber Driver.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, was there anything else that anyone wants to talk about before we get the heck out of here?
I like Carlito's Way. I think Carlito's Way is a spiritual sequel to Scarface, and I like Carlito's Way more than Scarface.
Remember when they made a prequel that was called Rise to Power?
Yeah, that's not good, but
yeah,
Carlito's Way.
I think Scarface is a good sequel to Scarface.
That's not
another movie that's good, I suppose, but I have no desire to watch again is the English Patient. I think it is one.
No, I don't disagree with that.
I think it is one of the most boring movies ever made.
Revolutionary Road, similarly, DiCaprio.
Yeah, that movie.
Kate Winslet, directed by Sam Mendes.
Oh,
Michael Shannon.
I have another one that I famously have said that I don't like. And some of you guys might know this one, but I think it's one of the most. I think it's one of the most boring movies ever made. Like I've watched it once and have no desire to ever watch it again, and that is The Godfather.
I absolutely. I'm not going to say anything.
I do not like the movie. I have not seen The Godfather 2 or any version of the third one because after watching the first one, I was just so disinterested that I didn't want to watch any of the rest of them. Not that I understand why people like it and why people consider it one of the best movies ever made. I totally understand. I just don't like it.
Look, you and I have talked about this privately. I respect your opinion, and the Godfather's in my top 10 of all time. So, like, no love lost here. I appreciate your opinion. And you watched it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what matters. You watched it. So,
A movie that I will never watch again. I don't think it's considered a great movie, but it's definitely a movie I'll never watch again, and that's Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, there's that.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I need that. I need that.
I was wondering. That's been very quiet.
Request that picture to be sent to my DMs, please.
Does anyone else have anything they want to go over before we get the heck out of here?
I just wanted to fight PJ on Godzilla King of the Monsters, the American one being better than Godzilla 2014.
I'm not going to fight you. I mean, you have your opinion.
No, fight me.
I don't want to fight you.
Use harsh words. Spit on my face. What?
No, it's not who I am. Like, if Dwayne doesn't like The Godfather and it's in my top 10 of all time and I'm not fighting with Dwayne, I'm not going to fight with you over a goddamn Godzilla movie from 2014. Even though I think Godzilla 2014 gets a really weird rap for being Jaws with giant monsters.
It's excellent.
I agree with
you. I love both films, legitimately, but King of the Monsters feels more like Toho Godzilla than the first 20.
David, if you get me on your Godzilla podcast, we can talk all about this when we're not.
You want to do this on there? PJ,
I will get him on another Highlander.
No, I will be on, and we can talk. No, I know, and I told you, give me dates. I will be on literally any of them.
All right, we'll see.
Be sure to check back next Sunday.
I will be on any of it.
Network for our brand new show, PJ Speeches.
More like TED Talk.
The gang will sit here like this.
I'm gonna go now.
As PJ Speeches.
Anyways, you can find me at twitch.tv/Burkmade. You can find me on Twitter at Burkmade, Twitter, Instagram. You can check out my new album available on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you want to find it, called Sunday Morning Jams. Sunday Beats. Called Sunday Beats. If you're a streamer, if you're a YouTuber, if you do any video production, it's great. It's free to use. I'm not going to copyright strike yet. And if you do get copyright strike, just approach David B. He'll fix it for you. That's it. That's all I got.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Chris Clark 8788. Those numbers actually do mean something. I've been lying to you the whole time. Add them up, divide them by 3, and the treasure hunt begins, bitches.
Want to play a game?
You can find me at tfranco84. Those numbers also mean something. That was the year that I was born. You cannot find me over at the Movie Trivia Schmodown. I have retired from being in the league.
Oh,
PJ, you have to be careful saying that though, because people aren't going to realize the joke and they'll clip that out. And...
I said I was Tim Franco at least.
I have nothing to do with that image. If Ben Goddard sees this.
You can find me at one of these other guys.
Did you just say Frank Goddard saw this?
You can find me at Cinemaxwell on Twitter and Cinemaxwell Inc. on Instagram. Is that right? Right? Is that right? Yeah.
And Box Rocks, Maxwell Box Rocks on Twitch.
Yeah, Maxwell Box Rocks on Twitch. And you can see me making my 2021 return on Front Center Mezzanine on Thursday.
Also, make sure you check out the short horror film I directed, So, that's available on Crypt TV. And I also starred in a film, Good Guy with the Gun, which you can find somewhere on YouTube.
And your Twitter handle would be Hogue Filmmaker, correct?
Hogue_Filmmaker.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter at SuitUpSully, on Twitch at Sean Sully. We're pillaging villages and stuff currently. So come and see if we make it to Valhalla.
And you can shoot. You know what? Let me look at the chat real quick. Okay.
Who's left?
All right. You can find me at Bidor on Twitter and also twitch.tv/Bidor.
Make sure you spell it right.
I totally forgot.
Yeah. 2 R's. You need 2 R's.
Last night I went to rate Bidor and only spelled it with 1 R, and we rated a Japanese streamer who was not live.
Yes, those are 2 R's. I am a variety game Twitch streamer, and I low key write questions for the Schmodown as well. So there you go.
I was right.
I have a bunch of adorable puppies.
You can find PJ on the IMDb message boards under the name "Getting High with the Highlander," where he just talks about the Highlander. It just rants, and nobody's on IMDb message boards anymore, so he just talks.
That's probably accurate, actually.
And you can find some of us here tomorrow night for our watch along of Moneyball.
Great movie.
Good night.
Please leave this office.
Do we get any sort of souvenir?
Get out of my office!
I'll be back.
I gotta pay.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Heavy is the head that eats the crayons. I'm gonna take a nap. See you in 10 hours.
Dude, I almost had you. You almost had me. You never had me.
I like your style, dude.